There we go.
Welcome, everyone, to Kaijus, Slashers, and Ewoks,
Oh my.
which is a working title. I am Dylan Hinshaw,
Fat Kyle.
Skinny Kyle.
Jake.
and tonight we will be discussing the Star Wars films, episodes 1 through 6, and the future of Star Wars with The Force Awakens.
Tentatively, because the trailer just came out, a couple of weeks ago?
Last week, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Amazing stuff, amazing stuff, amazing stuff. But, alas, how has your week been going, boys?
Well, I spent a lot of this week waiting for today to get caught up on my Star Wars films. It has been a while since I've seen the original trilogy, which I did today. I watched 4 and 5 and noticed a lot of things that were really spoken of in the prequel trilogy. I thought that was pretty interesting.
My week's been all right, other than watching a Star Wars movie every night for the past week. When I have free time, I've been playing a lot of Destiny, so that's been pretty fun. And picked up on a lot of interesting lore that I actually forgot existed in the prequel trilogy, actually. So that's been a bit fascinating.
Now, I'm going to admit, I'm the lazy whore of the group, guys, because I just got HBO Go, so I had to finish the last season of Boardwalk Empire, but we all just recently got Dragon Age Inquisition, and
Not
that's
me.
just kind of taken over my life this last week, where I'm like, this is what I have to do between going to work, taking a shit, and jerking off.
Fucking
So I'm
Cassandra.
sorry.
All
I didn't
three
get around
of those
to it.
things are very important, though, so I can see why you would rather jerk off and shit instead of watch Star Wars. So, it's understandable.
But I love them all equally.
Of course.
Shit.
I'm going to go back to the lore thing, and I'm kidding because I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, there it is. Personally, I know that many fans don't put the prequel trilogy up to the pedestal that I think it should be. I understand that the filmmaking was pretty bad, but there is a lot of lore and a lot of story that they put into that trilogy that I think makes it really good.
Oh, no one's questioning that. It's the execution. But we'll get into that.
And
And
sorry, but the lore is there and shit, but then just the writing, everybody hates on Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker and stuff. I don't think he's a terrible actor, and I just think it probably could have been written better and
She's
shit
a
like
terrible
that.
Annie.
I came to the conclusion that I really don't mind Hayden Christensen as Anakin as long as he's not trying to convey any sort of human emotion.
we're
Honestly.
we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We need to actually go through episode 1 and go through the little Mongoloid child before we get to Hayden Christensen.
Jake skipped, not me.
Okay.
So back to the Annie years.
Back, yes, Annie. Annie! Yes, episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Was it 1999 it came out?
I think it's 99.
I can recall the trailers being very hyped because I had worn out VHS tapes of the original trilogy and seeing that trailer. Went to theaters to see it. I think I enjoyed it more as a kid.
Well, as a kid, I feel like you could relate to a lot more because Anakin was a kid, naturally, and I think they were trying to go from the fandom that their fathers had. Like, my stepdad was huge in Star Wars, and the original trilogy was fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it had more to be desired because we were at a different age, and I feel like George Lucas trying to grab that, kind of, and interest us to have that more fucking shit.
We all get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Entertain you more.
Kind of going with what you're saying. As a kid, I dug Phantom Menace, and then as I got older and I rewatched it, I was like, dude, my dad was right. This movie is a hunk of
fucking
shit.
sucks.
As a little kid, you just see pod racing and all these aliens and a cool lightsaber fight, and you're like, cool. Then you get older and you're like, what the fuck compared to the other ones?
Yeah.
You have more of a sense of naivety, so I mean it's oh, look at these cool visuals and all this awesome shit that's going on, or at least it seems awesome, but then when you actually look at it at a surface level, there's really no substance there. Substance. It's just it's really shallow in terms of its execution.
It's true. But I think the first big problem with episode 1 that we can point out right away, well, I guess they kind of tie into each other, is
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks.
Eat Mr. Banks.
And the
Definitely.
CGI in general is very dated.
Definitely for the time they could have done better. I mean, was it Industrial Light and Magic that does it?
ILM, yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
I believe so.
They've done some crazy shit. Like just rewatching the original trilogy on Blu-ray, I know that it's updated, but some of the CGI still remains there, and I felt like it was as good or better than the prequel trilogy in some parts.
Well, I do think they kind of cleaned up the CGI to some extent on the Blu-ray set, because even on the Blu-ray set, which is what you have, Skin and Cow, and I presume
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about watching it on, you have a CGI Yoda. Whereas if you had the DVDs, it's the puppet.
It was Puppet Yoda in 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, but I mean, when you had the Blu-ray set, episode 1, they changed that for the Blu-ray set. They gave you CGI
I
Yoda.
don't remember seeing that, but I think it was CGI.
Yeah, whereas if you have it on DVD, it's the puppet.
Yeah.
Regardless, Jar Jar Binks, an attempt to capture the hearts of children.
But falls short. Falls short.
It's not just him falling short in terms of being a comedic relief, but when you really think about it, the entire race of Gungans is more than
Fucking stupid.
insignificant in the overall realm of the Star Wars universe.
Oh, they don't even need to be there.
Well,
Exactly.
I think that's their like take on like Native Americans or whatever. That's how I kind of took it. Like primitive, compared to more high tech fighting
Held
and
to
shit
their
like
own
that.
standards, like not worrying what
They're riding like horse looking shit.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think the Gungans are kind of an enigma, though. Rather, when you think about it, because rewatching it, one thing about them stuck out in my mind. And if you guys remember when he's helping Qui-Gon and Obi in the forest because there's droids attacking them and everything, Jar Jar is like, "Oh, let's go to Gunga City because it's the safest place around here." Well, when they get down there, Gunga City is surrounded by these gigantic, huge sea monsters, which really confuses me.
But
as to
he
how
was
it's a
saying
safe
once you
location.
get to the city, it is the safest place to be.
Yeah, which
In
definitely-
the city.
Yeah, they have to get through past all those monsters to get to you. But
Yeah.
But what keeps the monsters at bay in the city? Like, how are
The
these
giant
Gungans
bubble
able
shit,
to-
giant
dude.
bubbles,
Yeah,
yeah.
fuck- And even that, I'm sure they have some technology. Like even
Some
on our
wards.
Earth,
Yeah.
there are animals that will be deterred, like spiders. I don't know if you guys noticed or not. Like spiders and bugs, if there's a whole lot of electricity going through, like your own
I'm
house,
not
they
denying
deter
that
it.
And, like,
technology is
they can feel
there,
it.
but it's not
Can't speak
presented
now.
in the movie, so it kind of creates a plot hole.
So how's
in
that
a
It
not
sense.
doesn't create a
Enigma.
plot hole.
It- it-
I
because
common sense.
Well, in the prequels, or I mean, in the original trilogy, it seems that everything is really well explained, and this was one thing that just wasn't well explained.
So 3 of the 4 think it's well explained. So let's move on to something else then.
Yes.
I think it's safe. Gunga City is fucking safe.
Yeah.
because it's underwater. Nobody knows it's there. It's a
Yeah,
hidden
like
city.
they don't like the droid when the Federation come. They don't know that the fucking Gungans even exist. They're just
Yeah.
invading the planet of Naboo. They don't know that they live underwater and
We get
shit.
back to your Native American thing in the Battle of Naboo.
That
Yeah.
was
Like-
interesting.
Holy shit, that's. I mean, they're using like slings and shit, and the whole battle fighting the droid army, which is a bunch of pussies.
You bring up a good point. The droids. That's our new stormtrooper for the new trilogy.
The poor man's Terminator is how I thought
The
of
poor
him.
man's Terminator.
They're not threatening in any sense.
So rewatching 2 and 3. Well, watching 3, I suppose, when General Grievous is on the starship. I know it's giving a couple episodes ahead, but it's not going to battle droid things. There was a battle droid that came up to General Grievous and said something to him. Keegan remembers this, the roommate. But General Grievous scoffs it off, and the battle droid was programmed for sarcasm, because he didn't say anything after he should be thanking him, and the battle droid was like, "Thank you," in the robot voice. I thought it was really funny, but that's neither here nor there.
Maybe
Well,
that
if we're
was
going to
just
talk
shitty
about
actors.
funny moments, I think the funniest moment in the prequel trilogy belongs to one of the star pilots during one of the final battles. This scene made me laugh my ass off, and Dylan can attest to this because he was there. But they're just all trying to assault one of the Trade Federation ships, and this guy's like, "The deflector shield's too strong," and immediately gets shot down. And something about that just made me laugh my ass off.
That's horrible.
It was hilarious.
But anyway, as you were saying, Dylan, like back to what you were trying to get at when you brought it up.
The battle droids just are an poor excuse for a core enemy. I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, the stormtroopers are iconic.
Agreed.
The visage.
Well, I don't know what you would do besides stormtroopers, like in the original or the prequel trilogy, to give that sort of menacing kind of enemy.
Well, it's certainly not a skinny ass robot.
Well, yeah, dude, you're messing with the prequel trilogy, shit that nobody had seen. You could have gave them an alien armada to go against. You know what I mean? Like a big ass like alliance of aliens, and they could have fought that, which would have been cooler than.
Well, I think part of the intimidation factor for the droids was that it's a hive mind. Like they're all connected to a central computer, like you could see in Episode 1 when the Trade Federation ship in itself, I'm pretty sure that's what it was like when Anakin blew it up.
Yeah.
And they all shut down. Like it's a pretty weak spot, but the hive mind aspect of it means that they know what's going on with every single droid, which I think would be scary myself. Not like stormtroopers stuff.
The more droids, the smarter they are.
You can piss on the standard battle droids all you want, but I honestly still think that the droidekas are incredibly cool. So
They're cool, but do they need to be there? No.
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 A
they're
lot of
interesting.
Episode 1 doesn't even need to be there.
That's true. The pod races. That's another thing.
Fuck the bulk of the movie. Like, so we just touched on Jar Jar Binks doesn't need to be there. Droids don't need to be there. Now pod racing.
Well, with the droids and the what was the first thing? Droids and the
Jar Jar
Jar
Binks.
Jar, yeah, droids and Jar Jar. Both those can kind of be rationalized. But the pod racing, I really cannot find any place for it, lore-wise, in the movie.
It's almost its own separate movie.
I guess besides it's Anakin's like first visage into piloting starships and shit.
I think George is just going through a big NASCAR phase. That's all that had to have been. It had to have been something like that.
Jesus. That's true enough. But that also leads us into the best part of Episode 1.
The Darth Maul and Qui-Gon fight.
Well, that
Opinions.
first seeing Darth Maul.
You mean
the
But-
infinite badass of the prequel trilogy.
See, that was their way of like jerking you off, but not letting you come yet, because you see Maul and shit,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have the double blade yet. He just has this big ass fucking lightsaber handle and shit. But yeah, like just when I was a kid, like watching it, I was just like, oh, why the hell is his like handle so fucking big for just a regular size lightsaber? And then later out in the movie, you kind of see why or whatever.
It was I agree with you. Like I saw the same thing. Like when there's Dantooine next to that silver ship, not Dantooine, Tatooine. What the fuck? Next to that silver ship, and he's there with his little droid little things, and Qui-Gon jumps out, and it's like, yeah, why the fuck does he need such a big lightsaber? But even that first little scuffle between Qui-Gon and Darth Maul I thought was pretty cool.
It lasts like a minute and a half, though. Perhaps.
I know it didn't last very long, but it's still cool. You can't say it wasn't.
Once again, jerking you off, but not letting you come. They're like, we're gonna save it till later, and
Yeah.
then they did get on it later.
And
but
then they got like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul all dueling.
It
and,
is
like, Duel of
worth
the
the
Fates
payoff,
going on.
though.
It's fucking sweet. Like
It
that's
is worth
when I
the
came.
payoff.
payoff, but the lightsaber duel is the only good part of the movie.
Exactly. So, like, comparatively, it's like a godsend because the rest of the movie is just a gigantic
But
steaming
before
pile
we
of
get
shit.
to that, like since we're talking about Qui-Gon and shit, let's talk about the relationship between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, because we had seen Obi-Wan in the earlier films, and then they reintroduced him as a young pup in this one. So
Young
what
pup.
did you
He's
guys
like
think
40.
about? What? No, he's in his 20s.
No, not
Episode one?
Qui-Gon.
No, I meant Obi-Wan. Like,
Oh, yeah.
we
Okay,
meet Obi in the old films.
Early 20s.
So
Yeah.
when you meet him again, he's just a young pup and everything. What did you think about his relationship with his master and everything?
I feel like it's completely understandable between his relationship between him and Luke. Like afterward, like you can totally
Yeah.
see the linking between them.
I think it was very, very, very smart to cast Liam Neeson in that fucking role, because he really did pass it off and everything.
Neeson.
You know what I meant.
He is like got that older, more rugged, like
The
wise
mentor
look.
type
For
fucking
sure.
role going on.
I liked both actors in both parts. They suited them very well, and I liked how the relationship was that an older brother would have with a younger brother. I mean, it was like just they were very compatible together.
You remember his
I
brother?
thought,
Yeah, they felt like brothers, man.
You're doing
Wait,
his
you're
brothers?
once again you're
No.
jumping ahead. That's
We're-
like Obi-Wan with
Obi-Wan
Anakin.
and Anakin for sure.
This is much more of a
Words out of my
father-son. But anyway,
I don't think so.
Definitely
anyway,
father-son.
what did you think, Dylan? Because you're the only one that hasn't talked about it yet.
Well, I think the actors worked extremely well together. Both were, I mean, they're both great actors, top of their class. I mean, Liam Neeson and comes from a theater background. Ewan McGregor had starred in many Irish films before that. I mean, Phantom Menace was his breakout role. But no, they worked extremely well together. Yeah. But I mean, this leads into the final confrontation between the two Jedi against Darth Maul.
I feel like even with like how they are together, how they act together is very like you can tell between how Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon would actually fight together. I think with looking at the Darth Maul scene, at
Almost
the end.
symbiotic.
Yes, I mean you see them not even communicating, not even saying anything, fighting with after Darth Maul uses both his blades
One mind.
Well,
and just one mind.
and I think what really helped with Obi was like he had that younger mentality to him and everything, whereas like Qui-Gon was older and much more of like the old school type of fighting style, whereas Obi-Wan was kind of younger, and maybe that's why he was able to defeat Maul, because
Had
he
more
was
spunk.
more off the cuff fighting style, which is what Maul did, because he fucking donkey punches Qui-Gon at that one
And
part, you know. So
Looking back, I think that I'm gonna say it. I think that Obi-Wan may have tapped into a little bit of the dark side, finishing that Darth Maul fight. 'Cause
well,
you
his
could see
emotions
it.
did get the best of
Yes,
him.
you could see it in his eyes and his face right when Darth Maul stabbed Qui-Gon. Like you could see it. He snapped
And
in anger.
maybe
vengeance.
that's what I'm meaning. Like that, he needed something like that where what Qui-Gon didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but maybe like that's what later took him off to be like a better mentor and everything, because he actually experienced that little bit of emotion
And
and
knew what it
everything.
took to come back to the light side. For sure. But it's going back to like
Qui-Gon
what
was
happened with Darth
definitely
Maul.
a purist, so I can agree with you there. He was very more. He seemed more reserved. He wasn't willing to tap into any even the smallest amount of the dark side to finish a fight or whatever.
Yes. And then Darth Maul is cut in half and falls down a shaft.
Yeah, that's
He got shafted.
He did get shafted.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Quite a while.
You've been thinking that the past 2 weeks?
Although it's
Not that long.
it's interesting how a character though that in one movie is as popular as he is, though. I mean, Darth Maul is still like adored by fans. So, I mean, if anything, that was a very good thing to happen with the Phantom Menace.
Well, those are the two things that are still like surviving from the film are Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. You aren't seeing people talking about, oh my God, fucking Anakin and that fucking Star
That
Fighter.
pod race,
Yeah.
man.
Anakin? Oh, yeah.
That's another problem.
Although it was a fun video game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I disagree with you that, but like the final fight is it keeps getting cut to Anakin. Oh, back to the fight. Anakin, back to the fight.
We actually discussed this earlier when I was talking to you. That is what pisses me off, because I get to the because you're in the moment because you want to see them fight. As soon as that door opens and you see the double blade, what happens is they cut between two other storylines. You got Anakin taking off with R2 to
Look,
go
Padme
blow up the
also.
fucking to go blow up the starship in the sky, and then you have fucking when the princess
Padme?
is
Queen Amidala, I suppose.
she's trying to retake the palace and everything
Which I
from the Federation.
should have
So I
stuck
mean,
with the fight.
you have two other storylines going on, and it's like they're not even that interesting. Like, yes, they might have been interesting, but once you like show that, it's like, dude, I want to go back to that. I want to see what's happening over there.
For sure. I think that our cut down version to a half hour of The Phantom Menace was really good.
Oh, I think it's the best film. If you cut one of the new trilogy into 30-minute film, The Phantom Menace is the best, in my
I
opinion.
loved it. It was really good.
Amazing.
But I think finishing up the fight scene, Qui-Gon dying, Darth Maul getting cut in half.
Dude,
going
I'll
to
even
shaft.
go as far as to say, like, episode 1, that lightsaber fight was quite possibly even my favorite, just because, like we said, when we saw it when we were little kids, like, for me personally,
fucking
and when I
epic.
hear the song Dawn of Fates, oh,
Duel.
Duel of
Duel of
Fates.
Fate. Yeah, I was correct.
It's just something about that is just so epic, dude. Like, and nothing like beat that for me. Maybe that's because I was older when I saw maybe the other prequels, you know. So
Even some tearing went on. Because it's just so beautiful.
Not sure about
You
that.
teared up
No, I teared
during their
up.
lightsaber fight.
Like, seeing Qui-Gon die and the emotion Obi-Wan
It's
had
sad,
watching
for
it,
sure.
it's pretty much his dad dying fighting for the Republic.
That's true.
And then it's over. Qui-Gon's dead. And then that's that.
Holding him, kissing him on the head.
It is very sad. What the? I
That's
don't
what
remember
happens.
that.
but
He kissed him on the head.
I
I don't
think
remember.
Anyway,
So
that's the end, and then we could get to episode 2, which
Uh,
is Attack of the Clones.
No other and nothing else. Anybody want to add anything to that?
yeah, you're good right there, buddy.
Nothing else. No closing comments.
Lightsaber fight's epic. Fuck Phantom Menace.
Darth Maul is epic. Yeah.
So
That's it.
once you get to like Attack of the Clones,
Episode 2.
that's the one for me where it's like that. If I had to like one of the prequels, me personally as Fat Kyle, like if I had to watch one, or if I could ignore one of them, it might be Attack of the Clones, just because like Episode 1 had that epic like Obi-Wan storyline, and then the lightsaber fight. For me personally, Attack of the Clones is just kind of there because all the shit that goes on in it. You know what I mean, guys? What are your thoughts on it?
I know there are a lot of things that go on with Attack of the Clones, but there are parts of it that I hate and parts that I really, really like.
The
Hayden
arena
Christensen.
scene.
The arena scene. I fucking love the arena scene. And that,
Awful.
I don't actually.
and the whole after part of that, like when they go to find Count Dooku and fight him, and then like Obi-Wan gets hurt, Anakin gets his arm cut off, and then Yoda comes in to fight. That's fucking awesome.
That
That's
part's
what,
cool.
I'll say, like, hands down, Attack of the Clones has the worst lightsaber scene, or lightsaber fight you've ever seen. Because Dooku takes out those two without any
No
effort.
problem at all.
And then Yoda comes in, and you're like, fuck yeah, Yoda, I'm going to see him fucking kick some ass. And then they're whirling shit at each other, or with electricity. I was like, really? That's how you're going to pay it off?
Well, they're both masters of the Force to an extent, so I mean that had to be presented. But I will agree with you there.
That's more of Episode 3. When he
well,
goes
yeah, I
against
know.
the
That's why I said
Senate
to an
Proud-
extent. Like it's way better
But-
in Episode 3, in my opinion.
Well, let's talk about the start of episode 2. The extremely awkward start. We have Obi and Anakin running into Padme again. And they are sent
Yeah.
to protect her because somebody's trying to assassinate her. Oh my.
Yeah.
Which leads to the awkward interaction of Anakin and Padme.
That's
That
so
is
awkward.
the strangest and
persists through the
most.
whole thing.
It's the worst.
Eluded.
It's the worst love storyline I've ever seen. Whether we're talking
Agreed.
video games or movies, it's just so awkward. Like how
They
you-
haven't
like
seen each other in 10 years, and you're telling me that they both haven't found anyone else.
It's not about finding anybody else, but it's about they've seen each other. They
Yeah,
know each
Yeah,
other.
but Anakin
You
is
can-
almost stalker-like. He's
But-
like, I haven't
here's
thought
what I'll
about
say.
you.
Here's what I'll say about Jake. Like you can see like somebody really attractive and be attracted to them or whatever.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. But there's the personality. There is no personality to Anakin in
Agreed.
that fucking movie. I don't see how she was like turned on by him.
Well,
or
felt
they
fell in
had
love.
no
into it.
connection either, really, because they didn't really know each other. They kind of knew each other 10 years ago, and they helped each other out for sure, but there was nothing there that was substantial.
What are
for
your
a
thoughts,
relationship.
When they last met, he was 9 and she was 14. A 5-year difference.
Okay, yeah.
10 years pass. Are you telling me this 9-year-old was thinking about this woman every day?
Exactly my point.
Among other
Dude,
women
when I was
within
9, I
Disney.
wasn't in love. Like
Titties.
I didn't even know about porn or anything. Did you? You know, what I mean, like
That's
that's
I
not
did.
a 9 years
Podcast.
old eyes.
That's another podcast.
As another podcast, yeah. But no, Hayden Christensen is one of the worst actors. And to think we had him portray a young Vader is disgusting.
Blasphemy.
And he tries to say the lines with such conviction, but it comes out as just
It's
garbage.
awful. It sounds like elephant shit coming out of his mouth. I think.
I think maybe we can give him a bit of a break in Episode 2 just because the direction was a bit all over the place.
I
with Episode
disagree.
2.
I mean, yeah, with
in
the
my
direction is-
opinion,
I'll
it's
give him
just-
more of a
it's really-
break once you get to 3 because that's the transition.
Well, I was saying his performance did improve in Episode 3. It's just Episode 2 was his first Star Wars movie, and it was really, I don't know, like you said, there was nothing really great about that movie to begin with. So I don't know.
Except the arena fight.
he is Canadian, so we gotta
I
give him
will
that.
stop you there, dude. Honestly, the arena fight, and I used to like
Oh,
that scene
so we
a
can't have
lot.
Canadians in Star Wars, eh?
No.
I used to like
Black
that scene a
people.
lot when I
Black
was
people.
younger.
Canadians
but
are very reserved.
that scene is awkwardly. It's like weirdly slow for a scene that's supposed to be like action packed. I don't know. It's
There's
a
so
really
much
weird
going
scene.
on.
It's a really weird scene.
The only
I don't like it.
really interesting thing that for me, like when I go back and think about Episode 2, was the whole clone aspect when Obi-Wan goes to Camino and they're meeting like where they make the clones and everything. But then it's also like a double-edged blade for me because then you meet Jango Fett, which is Boba's dad,
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, he turns out to be like a wussy. Like he gets like killed
I
so
think he's a
easily.
wussy. I don't think he's a wussy. I think Mace Windu is my favorite character in Star Wars.
That brings up a
Great
different
job.
point.
But I think that he took out Jango in a really good fashion. I mean, he shot him with a blaster, deflected it as a Jedi Knight should,
Skin.
and then took care of him.
What all I was meaning was as a kid that, and you were just like me, grew up on the original trilogy. Boba Fett was a badass, and then you get to his dad, where it's like, what the fuck, you get killed that easily, and you know what I mean? That's where I was like,
It's a lack of presentation.
That's true, but bringing that up, Mace Windu, we forgot to talk about Samuel Jackson in episode 1, a guy that paid to be in the movie.
Wouldn't you?
It's Samuel fucking Jackson.
I do like Samuel L. Jackson in the prequels. I really dig. He does bring some more depth to some of the more cheesier scenes. Once you when you get to episode 3, you know his downfall and everything.
Fucking
You kind of
horseshit.
see why maybe he was more important in 1 or whatever. Because then when you get to 3, like he was the badass that kind of went up against the Emperor, whereas the other guys couldn't and they got picked off.
Kit Fisto.
I like this
destroyed
character.
right at the beginning.
You mean Cthulhu?
Yeah.
I like this character overall. I thought it was a good character.
I think we're skipping around a bit here, but
But you asking about Mace, so back to what
Yes,
you were
yes.
saying
I mean,
originally.
what do you guys think of the basic premise of episode 2? Like, how do you feel the story is? How
I thought it
strong
was
is
interesting in terms of you kind of get to see the origins of where the stormtroopers come from. So I mean that was kind of interesting. But other than that, like I went into this movie rewatching it with I know I like something about this movie and I couldn't place it, but rewatching it, I realized that I didn't like anything about this movie.
I know that Steve Dias, Darcy Dias, he had told people that that he had told people that a Jedi would be coming later on to collect the clone army, but not who. And when Obi-Wan got there, they were just like, "Oh, hey, what's up? We were expecting you. It's good for you to be here." And that Cypher Diaz would get around the Jedi Council without any problem making the clone army. I thought that was interesting.
Or that the Jedi, I remember that the planet was wiped away from the records in the Jedi archive,
Cypher Diaz,
but for the fact that they didn't you know what I mean, through the Force, that they didn't realize that there was this planet out there with life forms and everything, because supposedly if you feel the Force, everything is connected together and you can feel other life forms. So the fact that they didn't even know this planet was going, maybe that they couldn't feel the clones because they were lifeless clones, but you didn't actually feel that there's the native people there. I don't.
Well, that's kind of part of the flaw of some of the prequel trilogy, is that they kind of wrote the Force in more of a scientific way rather than the sort of spiritual sort of sense that the original movies.
I feel like they made sense of it instead of in a spiritual way.
Metachlorians?
Like that, it makes it make more sense on how you could control other things with it.
We didn't even talk about that with episode 1. The metachlorians is a stupid idea.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
Really?
I don't think it's stupid, but
personally, it could
it's
have
an
been done
excuse.
It makes it way easier to measure someone's force power and how much they can control. What determines someone who can be a Jedi versus cannot.
But the thing
Or
with the
Sith.
Force was supposed to be kind of a thing about religion, or almost, you believe in it or you kind of don't. So the fact that you could measure it in your blood, I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
I think that's a difference, because I don't think it's a religion. It was a way of life, definitely. But religion means something you praise. I don't think it really praise the Force as much as follow it.
Jedi's are
But I
a
meant
religion.
believe in. They believe in this, whereas some people don't believe in the fucking Force.
But then it comes to the point where, if you don't believe in the Force, who the fuck cares? Vader's still going to choke you, kind of thing.
But you're jumping ahead. But once they get to 4, they don't even think the Force exists. Remember,
Yeah.
they laugh at him. So
But it's still there, which I feel like religion would be the opposite. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
we're skipping over
It
another
wasn't-
point.
It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be religion. It was just a spiritual embodiment that every life form had. It was a life force.
Which
hence
makes
the
it
term.
which puts it more into scientific thing.
I don't believe so, but whatever.
what were you saying, D?
Well, another thing is brought up in episode 2, and that's you see the first schematics of the Death Star.
That was
at the
really
very end?
interesting.
Yeah. Genosians.
That's
That
actually
was kind of
great-
cool. But once again, that's like getting a hand job and not getting able to come at the end of it. You know what I mean? That's badass. But
No,
then
I
you
think
put
that's-
it at the end of the movie, and then it's like,
I think that was already
oh.
coming and then getting a hand job, because you already saw the Death Star in the original trilogy. and now you're just like trying to get off after coming like 5 times, watching Power.
Well, see, I thought maybe episode 3 when I saw that was like, oh, like when we get to episode 3, they'll be building it,
More expansive,
and you'll see
for
like
sure.
them, like maybe there's a lightsaber fight on the building of the Death Star.
They
never
dude,
touched
that
upon
would
the
be
Death Star
fucking
again.
sweet.
That
Any
would
of
have
the
been
three.
cool as hell. That actually, I have a huge ass question about that. Is why were the Geonesians never present in any of the other films? Like, it was really cool how they had this hand in sort of developing the Death Star, and it would have been cool to expand on
Well,
them.
you can say that about any other race once you get to
Any
the
other.
prequels.
Yeah,
that they're not in the original, and then once you go from movie to movie, they become irrelevant. Like the Gungans
I know.
or Sebulba, his alien race. Never see anybody else like that motherfucker.
Well, the Gungans we already established didn't need to be there, but the Geonesians, if they had a hand in developing the Death Star,
Why would they need to be there if they just used them?
Wouldn't you destroy the people that helped you develop it so
Yeah,
you couldn't
to
develop it for anybody else?
to cover it up.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
It's just weird that they're not even present in episode 3.
It's
I
not
don't
weird
know.
at all, dog. Like you just didn't
I
like
find
connect
it
the
odd.
dots.
I guess I don't know. It's just
'Cause
it feels odd.
Wouldn't you, if you're creating, because this is Dark Sidious, and he had that whole background plan no one else saw, wouldn't you just destroy off the people that helped destroy it, dude?
That makes sense. I mean, yeah,
Huh?
I can see that.
Not
But yeah, playing Geonosis, I don't know, like, the coolest thing about that, I guess, would be, like, you meet Count Dooku, which is supposed to be the villain of the movie, and I know you really wanted to talk about that, Dylan. Like, explain.
Well, Dooku's one of the more one of the deeper characters in the prequel trilogy, in my opinion. I mean, he basically joined the Sith to defeat the Sith, because he knew what Darth Sidious was, but he joined him because there were powers that he couldn't get if he was a Jedi, that he would use to take out Sidious.
Yeah, but, like, I'll never say, like, Dooku's not deep. I just meant that he wasn't cool. Once you had already given us, like, Vader and
It's
Maul.
Christopher fucking Lee, dude.
No, I think Duke was a really cool character.
It's deep.
I
I'm just
agree.
saying he wasn't, like, flashy or cool. That's
No,
what I
not
mean when I
flashy,
say
definitely.
I also kind of like how it's more just hinted at that he joined the Sith in terms of like wanting to destroy it rather than it being upfront about it.
that. So we're
was kinda
covering
cool.
ground that's already been covered.
Let's go
He
repeat
asks
Dylan
Obi-Wan
again.
to join him to defeat the Sith.
Well, yeah, but it's like more.
You said it was hinted at.
Well,
he
it's not
asks him
hinted at. He
bluntly-
does
not
come out
hinted
and say
at. I
it.
mean, it's
So
more
he really
like.
said that, like, right on Geonosis,
But-
while Obi-Wan's, like, chained up.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
But you really like that, Dylan, like the whole
But
like
I was
deeper
more like, I think
aspect to
you're
like
lying.
Dooku's storyline and everything.
Oh, I think it's epic, dude.
Well, he wasn't he the one that trained Qui-Gon too. That's like their connection,
Yeah.
his connection to Obi-Wan and how he tried to like plead to get his alliance.
His master's master.
Yeah, exactly. But well, on episode 2 also we have to talk about Kyle. Have you talked about your arena scene yet?
Nah, dude, I
We
know a
have the-
lot of people hate
we
on
have the
this.
arena scene, and then we have Anakin's mom, which we have to talk about. So go with the arena scene.
I know a lot of people hate on the arena scene, but I think, like, while Anakin or Padme are riding into the arena, and they have a little speech about how they love each other and what the fucking gay shit's going on, like, they're really blossoming their relationship, I would suppose to call it. But I mean,
Awkward
It's really
relationship.
fucking awkward. Yeah, but it that happens, and then they get tied up, and then I think you can really see how much Padme has grown, kind of, and how strong she actually is as an individual woman.
Like that
Because-
ass.
That ass. That's exactly what I
Dem
mean.
nips.
Oh,
She nips
when
out
falls
during
off
that
the-
entire movie.
It's awesome.
But
But you got Obi-Wan doing his thing, like fighting the Ackley, I think is what it's called. You've got Anakin fighting that fucking bull thing, I don't know its name, and then Padme fighting the cat thing.
thinking back, dude, because like I said, I was a lazy one. I hadn't watched the films. Thinking back, I do see what you're saying. I think that was like their more subtle way of like showing you where Leia's beginnings was like of like being a badass
Yeah,
when it came down to the end of the
she's
day,
so
where they
individual.
showed you that. Whereas in episode 1, you didn't get the sense that she could be a badass.
For sure. But you got you got Padme, and she's all up on the tower, and then Qui-Gon and Anakin are still talking because this is my fucking
Qui-Gon?
favorite scene. Obi-Wan, sorry. You got Obi-Wan and Anakin still talking, which is my favorite scene of almost the entire trilogy, the prequel trilogy. I love it. 'Cause it's,
This is the moment I knew you
you
just
can
come
see
out and
them-
say you smoke crack.
What?
You can see them develop. Like, you see them develop so much, and this just is one
No,
scene I think.
dude. There's a lot more deeper conversations between Obi and Qui-Gon in 1 and Obi and fucking Anakin in 3.
Conversation-wise, I agree, but action-wise, like you see all three of these grow.
Action, they're fucking chained to things and they're just talking.
And then
There's
do
not a
their
deep
shit.
conversation.
You have Padme climbing the tower, fighting that little cat thing.
They
and then
do their
fights it,
shit, but
defeats
it doesn't feel action oriented. I mean, it's supposed to be an action oriented scene, but it's presented so slowly. It just.
What
doesn't
are your
feel right.
thoughts, D?
I think the arena scene falls into the same pit that the Darth Maul fight in Episode 1 does. It's trying to make up for the little action there was throughout the movie.
I could see that.
But the only problem is it wasn't as cool as the Maul shit was.
It's not cool.
Exactly.
It's boring.
The arena scene is terribly fucking boring.
I used to like
It's
that
opinion.
scene a lot when I was younger, so I can kind of sympathize with you. But rewatching it, I don't like that
You
scene.
know, you
very
got
well.
that going on, and then they fight their beasts and whatnot, and they get cornered, and the droids come out, and then
But then the Jedi
reinforcements
and the
come.
clones swoop in.
And they come in, and they fucking wreck face and destroy all the droids and whatnot, and then they start dying. Jango dies, Mace Windu's fucking badass, and then they retreat.
Which
Kind of.
leads us into the end of the film, but I think there is one last thing we need to cover. Jake, you want to take that over? One of you guys about the mom?
Anakin's mother. Yeah, I mean, I just thought that was a little interesting, seeing, you know, his mom, him witnessing his mom die in front of him. It just kind of helped kind of bring him more onto the dark path and kind of develop into the Darth Vader we all know and love. So I just thought that was interesting.
I thought it was boring.
See those
Well-
awesome acting abilities?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
the acting is horrible, but like story wise and lore wise, it's like
But
it's cool.
Realistically, you could have ignored it. Like, I guess that does bring out his darker side if you're going with that. But you'd already seen he was a whiny emo bitch because he was in episode 1. He was already too old to become a Jedi because, you know, I mean, they didn't want no emotional attachments when they first get you. So, like, once you get to 2, you could have just ignored the whole subplot of it, him going to Tatooine to save his fucking mom. It could have been ignored because he had already been emotional. Because they
was
explored
kind
that
of
with in the scenes with the princess and shit, like the love, and he makes the fucking pear float. Cheesy, but
Well, that was horrible.
Classy.
but I mean,
that
they
was
had
fucking horrible.
already exposed that he was an emotional dude. You didn't have to see him fucking slay sand people. It was a
I
completely
liked it.
pointless scene. You could have just
Nah.
been like, your mom died of AIDS. Could have continued the movie.
I disagree because I think it's a little more impactful for him to actually witness it. It just kind of drives the final nail into the coffin.
Completely worthless scene. What do you think, D?
Anakin understands machines.
What?
Explain.
He understands machines. He's good with machines.
Well, he did build C-3PO.
Well, I guess when we get to the later films, half of it is made of machine. So
There you go.
That is true.
So, on to the climax of the film. Dooku flies off to start some of his nefarious plans, which actually aren't that nefarious.
Yeah, Obi-Wan and Anakin following him with Yoda
Correct.
hot on their trail. I don't know. They get to that cave thing, right? And then we got Dooku talking to Obi-Wan, all like, "Oh, I'm stronger than you, dark side, blah blah blah." And then Obi-Wan's like, "No, Anakin, we need to take them together on 3, 1," and Anakin runs off and gets his fucking hand cut off.
That was, yeah, it was totally his own fault, and it just kind of shows his irresponsibility. Although, I don't know, it's kind of intriguing because it's also just kind of an example of him sort of rushing through things and not really being the master that he does become in later films, I guess. I don't know.
Master.
Well, master of the dark side, at least.
Master of listening to Darth Sidious.
Regardless, the ending comes way too soon. We have 2 Jedi down. Yoda comes in.
a lackluster lightsaber fight.
Lackluster lightsaber fight, and then a lot of force pushing and such and such.
And then you get to that cheesy ass fucking the end of the movie where we should have seen George was going off the deep end with CGI. Because at the end of the movie, that's when you see the big like clone army marching,
Yes.
and then you're like, oh shit.
I know what's coming next.
What I will say, I guess, with Attack of the Clones is, I guess, because the fire started, I guess, with Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones reiterates how the Emperor came to be the Emperor. I guess you know what I mean, because he from the sidelines in the background, he started the Clone Wars with the Federation and everything. So it shows how he rose to the power. I guess that's really the only thing.
Most interesting part of the movie for sure.
But
Final thoughts?
shit-tastic.
Not that bad.
It was okay for the Darth Sidious and Clone Troopers / future Stormtroopers storyline. That was about it.
I went to see that. Oh, did you want to say something?
No, I have Jake's notes here, and he wrote great lightsaber fights.
No,
two.
okay. I only liked the. I should have wrote great lightsaber fight only between Count Dooku and Obi-Wan and Anakin. Only because I like how Count Dooku's moves were choreographed. That's really it.
The fight.
You thought that was a
too.
great lightsaber
He
fight?
holds himself with such elegance, dude.
It
Like,
lasted
I
a
just
minute
like
and a half,
his
probably.
I just like his character.
It was fucking retarded.
That's all.
Like, I get because his character is supposed to be elegant and
It's
shit, but
so
as a
elegant how he-
lightsaber fight,
Well,
you
no.
dug that?
Nah, see,
I
I
think
was
he's talking
just
about
jotting the
Dooku's
idea.
movements.
Yeah, I was just jotting down the idea. Like, keep in mind, these are really generalized notes. So I know what I'm talking about, but if you guys were to look at my notes, you'd be like, wow, this guy's fucking retarded.
All right, so we already wrapped up 2, so fuck it. We're moving on to 3, the last one of the prequels. What are your overall thoughts before we start discussing it, boys?
Take out Hayden, and I think it'd be a good movie.
D?
It's
Of the new trilogy, all the way through of all the films, it's the film that has the best Star Wars vibe.
definitely.
Jake.
Definitely.
I agree with that statement.
And I would agree with Dylan. Overall, as a film, I do like Revenge of the Sith. I will rewatch
I'm not
Revenge
gonna go
of
that
the
far,
Sith.
but
I feel like we can go back to the original statement on Phantom Menace where they tried to reach out to the younger audience between, I'm going to say, 7 and 13.
Really?
Kind of. No, let me continue. And since we grew from then, from 99, when was Episode 3 released? 05? 06?
7.
Yeah, because that's when
07.
I just moved to Fairfield, dude.
Well, that's 8 more years. That's those 7-year-olds would be 13-ish, 15. I mean, those 14-year-olds would be almost in the 20s. So the prequel trilogy grew as we did also.
Yeah.
So I think it could take it back to the original trilogy in that same aspect of adulthood kind of thing. If that makes sense.
I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Revenge of the Sith is probably my favorite of the prequels, like, because I don't really dig Attack, and then when you get to Menace, like, the lightsaber fight at the end's badass, but if I had to go, like, if you were like, Kyle, pick one of the fucking prequels that you would have to watch, it would probably be Revenge of the Sith. What are your thoughts, D? And then let's, like, actually pick it apart.
It's a strong movie and it's a dark movie. And I think it was trying to make up for the kiddie movies that were Episode 1 and Episode 2. I mean, we saw Jar Jar become less and less. Played a big
Thank
part
God.
in the first movie.
I'm so glad he became completely irrelevant as a character.
Yes, but no, it is the best overall of the new trilogy, even though I prefer The Phantom Menace as a 30-minute film.
Definitely.
See, with the Hayden Christensen, like, I can dig, like, some parts of Revenge of the Sith where, he, like, when he comes in and, like, kills the little Jedi students
The
and shit.
younglings.
That's kind of cool because he's not talking. Remind you, maybe that's why it's cool. He's
And
not
it's
really
fucking kills
talking,
them.
but he throughout the rest of the film, he's not as whiny as he was in.
Definitely.
Attack
I
of the
did
Clones.
notice that, and I liked that
Like,
a lot.
yes, he's still kind of a bitch, but he's not as whiny as
Well, I
he
think
was.
it's that after he pretty much killed Mace Windu, he understands that he's on the dark path now.
And there's no
And that-
turning back.
There's no turning back. I mean, he's there, and he needs to really commit to it to save Padme. I think that's how I feel about it.
But he was also so foolish because he could have just listened to Mace. But what were you saying, D?
We are jumping around way too much. We're skipping huge parts of the film.
I know. That's why earlier I was like, well, pick something to talk about, Dylan. I was hoping we could run with that.
Well, I was interrupted. But we won't get into that. The movie starts with our two Jedi Knights, Jedi Master, Jedi Knight.
The end of the
Anakin's-
Clone Wars,
Master and
basically.
Knight.
Yes, they're going after Dooku to save Palpatine, who is trapped by Palpatine because Dooku is trying to kill Sidious.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that never really connected until now.
Really?
You didn't realize
You
that?
do
No,
smoke crack.
I
It has
always-
been proven.
I always felt like that Palpatine put himself in that position, like intentionally to get Dooku to fight Anakin.
I think I
I
think
can kind
without
of see that.
I will say without Dooku knowing it, I think he kind of did to get Anakin. I will say that, but also I think Dooku was out to like I'm gonna fucking kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't really think that Dooku was going to kill Palpatine because I think that'd be a little bit pretty premature to his initial plan. But after you said that, that really makes a lot of sense as to why he was in cuffs.
It was like I'm gonna fuck you, but no, I'm gonna fuck you, and
Yeah.
he don't not knowing it about it.
Yes, but that they're on the ship. They go after Dooku. This is where Anakin starts to show the real darkness is starting to come.
Yes, because he fucking cuts off Dooku's head.
Kill him.
Yeah.
Kill him. Kill him now.
He kind of tried resisting, but I mean, I don't know.
But by
He,
one
he,
word.
he,
Tried
gave, yeah, he
resisting.
gave in really, really easily.
not the Jedi
I shouldn't.
way.
I shouldn't do it. Oh, okay. Cuts off his
convinced
head.
me.
Well, it actually this fight kind of ties into like as a huge Obi-Wan fan, my favorite fucking character of the series. Attack of the Clones made him look like a bitch because he's taken out really soon in the Dooku fight. Once again, here we go into the beginning of Episode 3, taken out really quick in the fight. I'm like, really, dude?
Oh, yeah.
And then
the-
it's just Anakin, and because Obi-Wan's knocked down, he has to carry him down the elevator and shit. So Obi-Wan's not conscious throughout all of that. So that's why I'm like, Jesus Christ. So maybe that's why he was more susceptible, Anakin, because he's like, heat of the moment.
It is cool how Obi-Wan like has the most shining role in the prequels, though, in Episode 3, though, because he's doing so much shit, and then that awesome lightsaber fight at the end. But we'll discuss that later.
Here you go, jumping, Jake.
I said we'll
Focus.
discuss that later. I was just saying his character in the prequels, it was the best in 3.
So what else did you want to talk about when we get to Revenge of the Sith, Dylan?
Well, this leads to another important point. I think this character. I mean, he was pretty popular when he was first announced, but
Grievous.
Grievous, like that's his
Grievous.
introduction, which I mean, really just a useless character who was just a pawn the whole time.
I
really
agree.
feel like his backstory is more interesting than the story that you're actually given in the movie.
For sure.
See the beginnings because the whole point of Grievous, once you like watch the film and you kind of get it, the whole point of Grievous was he was the prototype. Mind you, they didn't know they were going to make Darth Vader, but the prototype of keeping somebody alive through animatronics and still the organs. So then you see, well, technology had evolved, and then they eventually made Darth Vader. So I got that, but once again, yes, he is kind of a worthless character if you ignore that aspect of it.
True enough. What do you think is the next big plot point? After landing back on
Or the Coruscant?
Coruscant,
Yeah.
The capital.
which I think that's when the political intrigue
Holy
starts to
shit.
take over,
Yeah, that's
isn't
when
it?
a lot of politics come in, and you see the Jedi Council asking Anakin to start spying on the Chancellor. I think it's when that starts coming in.
I have something for you to do for me, my boy, or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Because the thing was, they both started to catch upon each other at the same time. He was like, Anakin, I want you to start spying on the Jedi, and the Jedi were like, we want you to start spying on the Senator. Because they both started to catch each other's trails at the same point. I thought that was kind of interesting.
That was kind of cool.
But they couldn't come out and do anything because of the politics of everything. So they weren't like, I can come out and say that he's doing this. I can come out and say he's doing this. And they went to the same guy to spy on each other.
The biggest bitch you could go to, also.
Well, exactly. He's like, do I go with my bros? No, this pussy. And they went with that.
Which, this is a movie I think we can skip around even more in because a lot of it is just stuck in the political side stuff. But basically, Sidious initiates Order
66.
Order 66.
And I will say that to you, Dylan. Like, you could skip Revenge of the Sith until you get to Order 66 because that is when it gets epic. Because
Yeah.
you see like the clones turn on the battlefields and start shooting the Jedi and everything, and then you have Anakin coming in and slaying all the Academy. So when Order 66 is given, that's when the movie is kicked into high drive. You just have to get to that point. You know what I mean?
Well, what are your guys' thoughts on Order 66 at its core? Because I mean, keep in mind that the Clone Wars is going on for years. I mean, and these clone soldiers are growing attachments to like their Jedi companions and whatever. I'm just curious. Like, do you think that all of them were eager to just turn so willingly, or do you think that maybe some of them were a bit more reluctant?
If you could think back to when they were on Kamina, episode 2.
Stop. You can already establish this when they go into the original trilogy. Why that they stopped doing cloning is because clonings are too susceptible to rebellion and one thought.
The cloning?
Well, no, like
wait.
the clones themselves. If one of them gets the idea that it does catch on with between them, that's why when you get to the original fucking trilogy, they will like clone you, but they'll only do like 3 of you because if you make an entire army based off one design, they're too susceptible. If the one gets the idea,
I don't recall
and
that
does
at all.
spread like that.
But I remember on Kamina, who are the Kamina Knights? I don't know what the name was, but they specifically said that they do not say no to any order at all, no matter what you ask them to do.
Really?
So Order 66 was an executive order that could only be initiated by the Chancellor or the Emperor at the time.
I don't remember that, I guess. And I just wasn't willing to kind of write them all off as just mindless clones because,
They
I mean, yeah, but I mean, to an extent, they would have had some sort of freedom of thought, right? Because, I mean,
No,
even
they were trained not to.
No, because the cloning, or the people that cloned them were like, they can think more versatilely than droids do.
I
But,
feel like that would be
So
Skip,
they have more freedom
I
of
don't
thought
know
to
if
an
it's
extent.
3 or if it's 4, but they do touch upon that. Because even if it was 4, because Luke does ask Obi because he fought in the Clone Wars, and they do kind of talk about that behind the scenes when you go up to the Death Star. Somewhere between those 2 movies, mind you, I am
I
the
would say
lazy
that.
one that did not do his research. At some point, they do touch upon how susceptible the
well, there's
entire
about
clone
20 to
army
30
would
years
be.
between episode 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So I think between there, they could really change the whole cloning and stormtrooper process between clone troopers and stormtroopers.
But once again, it's also like the covering up of the planet Geonosis that helped them create the Death Star.
Probably something
Wouldn't
like that.
you kind of cover up after the clone
Yeah, for sure.
clones put you into office, made you the emperor? Wouldn't you then start to
For
tear
sure.
that apart and break it down?
But I know that the clone troopers at the time, it was stated on Kamina, they don't say no to anything.
Yeah.
Okay, like I don't remember that scene, but I was just curious as to what your guys' thoughts were about it. I mean, just overall.
But, Senator Palpatine, shit, Darth Sidious, he spoke with not Sifo Dyas, but it's somebody else. It's not coming to me right now. About the clones, knowing that this plan would unfold in about 10, 15 years from when they asked for the initial order of the clones. But they thought about it and put 66 as like a farther order down below the line. I read about this because I was really intrigued on the same question you had.
Okay, gotcha.
But they put it on such a low list that authorities or like officers or whoever the fuck in their clone army that did have more expression and could choose to think freely, they put it more far down the list. That way they would overlook it as such an essential order kind of thing.
But all right, so that's our thoughts on Execution 66 or Order 66 because we started to like tangent off on what are our thoughts on like the later films and extended universe. But yeah, like if I could edit that movie, I would just edit out the first fucking half until he gives orders. Well, the Mace Windu fight, but the Order 66 because that's when it
comes around,
kicks
yeah.
it into high drive.
Oh, for sure.
Thoughts, Dylan? Mr. Silent.
Lots of dead Jedi.
Too many. Aya Sakura, Coyote-Mundi.
The
I mean,
younglings.
Kit Fisto was a little beforehand, but
But you knew it walking in there, dude. Like, because Obi-Wan was the last of the Jedi.
it
When you
doesn't
get to
get
New
any
Hope,
easier, Kyle.
It
doesn't-
is
you're
very
sounding
depressing.
as bad as my ex-girlfriend when I took her to like the Lone Survivor. They're all dying. The fucking movie is called The Lone Survivor for a reason.
Survivor.
You've already seen A New Hope. You know Obi-Wan is the last of the Jedi, and then you're like, it's sad that they're killing all of them.
It's still sad. I mean, there's Yoda.
I honestly think that the saddest part was the younglings. dying, I mean, just because they're children, and it is incredibly fucked up. But I mean, it does kind of express more how he was turning toward the dark side to begin with. So,
Continue, D.
Don't forget that we get to see our preview of the walking, talking carpet.
Yes, Chewie is in episode 3 when because they do the Battle of Kashyyyk.
that was kind of cool.
You pronounce it Kashyyyk?
Yeah,
That's
Kashyyyk.
weird. I always thought Kashyyyk.
It's pronounced Kashyyyk.
I believe it, but I think it's weird pronunciation. I think it's...
Because that's when they first introduced the Wookiees and everything.
Mhm.
But and they have to take out Yoda.
But yes, all the Jedi are dead. We're at the final bit. Wow, we got done with Revenge of the Sith extremely fast.
Well, we're already an hour into this. That's why I'm like, boys, we need to start hustling up.
Get to the movies that matter.
All right, so end lightsaber fight. I don't care. Like, is fucking epic because
It
you
is
see.
amazing.
As a kid, when I was in school, I'd always said Obi-Wan could fucking defeat Vader. He let himself be defeated in A New Hope.
It's not
I'd
a
always
question.
said that. I'd
In
always.
A New Hope, you see that's episode 4. Sorry, we're on episode
But
3
sorry,
still.
Kyle, this is before the prequels came out. Like, you know, when you're playing kickball and shit on the playground, like, kids would argue me, like, no, dude, he would have fucking killed him. Anyway, I'm like, no, he was a badass. You see it. Revenge of the Sith solidified it. Like
he's-
Obi-Wan was the better lightsaber fighter. I'll get Anakin as maybe more of like the Count Dooku, Yoda, Attack of the Clones, more of the Force fighting, I guess, because he was stronger with the Force. But once you got into lightsaber fighting, Obi-Wan was the stronger of the two.
I think they're pretty equal, personally. They're because like Anakin's got that natural Force instinct because of high midichlorian count, and you got.
That's what I'm
Obi-Wan.
saying, but he wasn't as skilled as a
Exactly.
fighter. When it came to
Exactly.
lightsaber, Obi-Wan fucking decimated him.
You can get to the scene where they're in the council room on Mustafar. Is that the planet they're on? While they're doing that,
I believe so,
I
actually.
think they're in that room on top of the table, and at the
Yeah.
same time they both try to force push each other, and you see their hands just like right together.
And then they end up
all of
pushing
it.
each other.
And
Yes.
there's this explosion that happens that you don't see, but it's a wave of energy. Sends them both back flying 15, 20 feet, which is so much energy compacted just in that little spot. You can tell that they're so equal. I feel like they were like force to force, Anakin could win, but like saber to saber, I think Kenobi's got it.
So, I don't know, is there anything else we have to touch upon on episode 3? I guess we could talk about the no scene, but
Let's not go there.
yeah.
I have the higher ground.
Huh?
Don't try it. I
I
have the higher ground.
I just love
You
how
underestimate my power.
I don't know. I feel like it was really detrimental to Obi-Wan Kenobi overall, and I don't know, just seeing him try and like keep his composure overall, even though he's fighting his brother, basically is, I don't know, it's kind of epic.
I don't see that fight as detrimental to Obi-Wan because he comes out on top. At the
Well,
end.
no. I mean, like, he was like betrayed.
Dylan's over there laughing.
He was like betrayed by Anakin, so I mean, it had to hurt him. But he's like still trying to be like the Jedi, like, oh, I got to maintain, a level head. So I don't know.
And that's
That
why he
battle.
won. He didn't let the emotion get to him
Yeah,
as Anakin
it's
did.
epic, is all I'm saying. It was just epic. So
So,
But yeah, then he takes care of Padme. Well, I mean, she dies either way. They don't know why she dies, but she dies.
You gave up the will to
broken
live.
heart.
This is kind of a plot hole that I'm going to bring up here. They didn't know that she was having twins until the very end of the movie.
you figure in a futuristic society, Padme would have been able to know that she was having twins to begin with.
Unless she decided not to choose to know.
Well,
Yeah.
regardless of that, if Anakin
She
really
didn't
loved
have his
her,
surround
and when
sound.
he kept
Anakin was having
visions-
premonitions, yes.
Yeah.
About worrying about his child and Padme.
you figure he would have had her checked
don't-
out. Like, what the fuck was
I
that
don't.
about?
I don't think it's really a much plot point because that was whole Sidious's thing of selling him to the dark side was that she will die in labor and the children will die too. Without that being said, because she was supposed to die in labor, and that was the whole point of him saving her because that was his visions was her in pain and everything.
It's kind of
Still,
interesting, though.
it bothers me. Extremely so.
It's just one of those like random ass plot holes that's not really covered. Like
Did they
the
ever really
prequels
say that
told
it was
us.
just one child?
Yes, our child. Yes, they do.
Yeah, it's mentioned
Say it
several
multiple
times.
times.
Yeah, in retrospect, yes, I agree.
Cause,
Huh.
well, yeah, okay.
That's something.
But yes, Luke and Leia are born. Leia goes off to live with Is it the Organas?
Organas?
The
Organas?
I don't
Organas on
remember his
Dan
name at all.
Twain.
And
Yes.
then Owen
And
and,
then
Baru.
Uncle Owen.
Uncle Owen.
Baru.
Is delivered by
Baru.
Obi, and he watches over.
Yep, staying in exile on Tatooine and studying the Force with his old master.
Qui-Gon, somebody that came back and figured out the secret to immortality.
Yep, and then we get into the other films where he comes back and does that with Luke. But anyway, so boys, now we're into the true films.
Yes!
Finally.
Episode 4. Thoughts?
It was like a breath of fresh air watching episode 4 after sitting through 1 through 3.
I wish I were born in the early 60s so I could be 14, roughly, 14 to 17 when A New Hope came out.
And experience it like with that type of mindset and be like, this is fucking epic.
Indeed.
All right, but thoughts about A New Hope, episode 4.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like, it was such a great movie.
It's
Rewatching
fantastic.
it today.
It is
I
a good
loved it.
standalone film because that's how it was designed, you know. So
Oh, it's so great.
There were lots of space operas and science fiction movies leading up to Star Wars, and some were serious, but most were considered like B-movie fare.
well, science fiction in general was
Yes.
until Star Wars and Alien.
But that made it bankable.
Yeah. But I mean, like, shit that they had pulled off of. I mean, the whole like intro thing is a rip off of Flash Gordon,
That's right.
the serial.
It's crazy.
So
But yes. Enter episode 4, A New Hope. Well, originally just titled Star Wars.
Skin.
I think it's, I don't even know, like, just the whole movie.
I think it's interesting seeing Luke Skywalker's beginnings because I think a lot of people just in general, like myself included, will just jump to like, you know, Return of the Jedi era sort of Luke Skywalker, like him being a badass lightsaber and everything, but it's, I don't know, him coming from humble beginnings is just, I don't know.
I don't,
It's epic. It's kind of your classic sort of like hero rising story, but
wait,
it's fantastic. I don't know.
I tried to relate to Jake for a second. You can see it because I paused and then I'm like,
What the
no,
fuck
I
is he
can't
talking
connect to
about?
this at
There's
all.
nothing really to say about it. We all know it's a good movie.
I mean,
I guess I'm kind of beating around the bush, but regardless.
well, I mean, if you're gonna watch it chronologically, the series in total, that's when Darth Vader starts being a badass. I guess we could all
douchebag.
talk about that, like as a child watching Darth Vader and being like, "This is the baddest motherfucker I've ever seen in my
This is
life."
the fucking jerkiest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life.
I disagree. I think he's epic and classy in the original movies.
I think it was jerky.
You definitely see a huge transition in terms of its chronological order from how he was in Episode 3 to Episode 4.
Well, just like earlier, we touched upon like Dooku being more of a deep, classier character. That would be Darth Vader when we get to New Hope.
Definitely.
I'd have to agree. I think the biggest thing here is Sir Alec Guinness in A New Hope.
The Obi-Wan.
The Obi-Wan. A guy who hated the movie, but he did see that it was
Did
a
he
good...
really?
He hated the movie because he got so much fan mail that after a certain point, he didn't even read it. He threw it away.
That is crazy. I think he played a really good Ben Kenobi, especially Mos Eisley, when they're just shooing away the stormtroopers using the force persuasion.
These
first
aren't
time
the
you see
droids
it.
you're looking for.
Exactly.
He thought it was sci-fi garbage, but he said it was a nice paycheck.
I'm sure it was.
He lived the rest of his life off of that movie.
True that, but no, dude. Like, yes, Obi-Wan is epic in that, but we also, I don't know. All right, so Obi-Wan was in the prequels, and now we're talking about the originals. So I don't know, to kind of tie that all together. Jake brought up Luke, so there's Luke. But on the Mos Eisley, like you just said, we meet like one of the more badass good guys in the fucking series, Han
Greedo.
Solo. What?
Oh.
This brings up a good point.
Guido.
Who shot
Guido
first?
shot first.
Han totally shot first.
It's not even a question.
It,
We're talking about theatrical or remastered?
original theatrical
Well,
release.
you can't argue that because it was changed, but no, Han shot.
And that suited his character because he was just supposed to be an outlaw badass. I mean, he wasn't going to give a fuck if he shot a guy in a bar somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, in the theatrical version, Greedo is pulling his pistol out before.
Well,
he
he's
shoots.
getting ready to do
Yes,
it.
He is about to do it.
Yeah.
Well, Han still does it first.
But that when you get to the remastered, that's one of the
Yes.
stupidest things. That's like, all right, so I'm literally about 3-4 feet from Skinny Kyle. That's like me pulling out a gun and missing him. Wait, you hired this guy
You
to
do
go
see-
shoot this guy?
You do see Han's head move about 4 inches to the right. You do
That
see
is
it.
the stupidest thing
No,
ever.
no,
No,
dude.
you do see it. We can look it up. I got Blu-rays right here.
I do know that is how they altered it, and that is still the stupidest
is.
thing ever. Let's Photoshop his face a few inches to the right so it misses. What the fuck?
Craziness. But
It just shows how better Han Solo was than Greedo. I mean, I said it, Han.
What else? What else do you want to touch
Whatever.
upon in New Hope?
Luke meets up with Obi, Han, Chewie. They get out of there. They're going to save Princess Leia from the Death Star because Luke has the droids. We didn't talk about the droids.
C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yes.
Which I think is crazy that, I mean, I know it's scripted, but the fact that these droids could
Stuck together all that
they
time.
could they could stick
Yeah.
together from time.
They were homosexual.
And they hated each other.
It is a bit coincidental,
well, I mean,
but it's.
I don't
Well,
know if
C-3PO
R2
hated
3PO.
R2-D2.
Yeah, 3PO hated R2. Definitely.
But yet, you're telling me through the 20 years, because Luke would be in his 20s. So the 20 years since we lost him through Revenge of the Sith, he's like, I'm going to stick next to this little guy. I hate him, but I'm going to stick next to him.
Well,
It's that
well, he
old
needs
marriage
him.
kind of thing.
Exactly.
Well, maybe that's why like they're cool in the prequels, and then once you see them in A New Hope, they're like a married couple where they're like, I fucking hate you.
Let's just fucking get this done. Let's find the princess and go home.
But yes, after the message was delivered by R2-D2 to Luke, he goes to save Leia. Sorry, I got some.
I don't know. The garbage compactor scene is still one of the most epic scenes, like in film, at whatever. Like it's such a badass scene.
Like I said, I just watched A New Hope and Empire today, and it still made me nervous. Like it still makes me nervous watching the three of them in there. Four?
It's just
I
really
suppose.
gripping.
It is.
And this is what I don't get. So they're in a garbage compactor, something that crushes everything that lives in it. But there's this weird swamp thing that comes and pulls Luke down into it.
I think
There's a
I've
couple
never
things that make
understood that
sense.
unless the
I got a theory.
unless the Empire was like, well, we're not going to crush our garbage. Fuck it.
No, I got a theory. There's a bunch of water there, right? A bunch of liquid. So that whatever the fuck it was, must have been able to go into the drain because there hadn't been a drain in there. Because it heard the track compactor starting, and then disappeared and let Luke go. That's when he was able to resurface.
Maybe,
Instead of
but
drowning.
that doesn't change the fact that it is
It
also,
is a
in fact,
cra-
the world's slowest trash compactor.
compactor that crushes everything. So I just don't buy that something
At
was
an
living in the
incredibly
water.
slow rate, mind you. So I mean, I don't know. That is a bit convenient for the plot, but whatever.
It
Well,
is a movie.
Exactly. So it's like one of those things. Like, yeah, this is incredibly convenient because this trash compactor is slow as
So
shit.
then-
But whatever.
So all right. So then all right. After that scene, they get out of there. What's the next biggest thing?
Well, I think another thing we should bring up is General Tarkin, Peter Cushing.
Why?
Epic.
I think he's epic.
He's a badass motherfucker.
He controls Vader.
He almost
He
yeah. He
does
makes
do a
Vader look
good,
like a pussy.
Good
You hear,
job.
I guess in that first scene where you have Vader and Tarkin in the same room, and Tarkin's just
Well,
like,
mind you-
that's enough, and Vader listens. That is
yeah,
pretty crazy.
and Vader, like, he talks shit to Vader the entire movie. Vader does nothing, but then there's that one scene where the guy's like, "Oh, the Force is bullshit," and whatever, and Vader
he chokes
Force
the fuck
chokes
out of
him.
him.
Calls
yeah.
him an old wizard. Like, you're stupid for believing that old wizard shit.
So
Sorcery.
General Tarkin must have
Sorcery,
been a
whatever.
badass motherfucker. Like something we'd never seen between 3 and 4. He must have been like really high up toward the Emperor's like, "Fuck it, Vader, you're gonna listen to this guy."
That makes me wonder what kind of lore Tarkin has with him.
we could
also.
totally look it
You
up.
see a really shitty CGI Tarkin at the end of Episode 3.
Oh, man, I
Yes.
saw that.
When after the no scene,
Huh.
That
when they
sounds
step
horrible.
on there and you see outside and they're building the Death Star, there's a CGI young Tarkin right there.
So they were together for at least 19 years.
I guess I didn't notice that.
So that might be a more fatherly bond that Anakin would have Tarkin, maybe.
Maybe not fatherly, but as a mentor.
My last fatherly figure, I just tried to kill.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna listen to you.
A coworker.
But
Yes.
I don't know. I think Tarkin brought a lot of depth to it because, like you said, like Vader is supposed to be this incredible badass, but he's still reported to this guy. Because mind you, this is before the Emperor's even introduced. If you're just watching 4 through 6.
Well, I still think Vader at that point was still more of an enforcer than anything. A really powerful enforcer.
Well, yeah. Do you really think like the world or the galaxy's baddest motherfucker like got into a TIE fighter and went to go chase Luke at the end of the movie? No, dude, I don't. You know what I mean? So I do see what you're saying. Whereas later he became more of a power figure and everything.
He had to be. They lost a lot of key people.
And when the Death Star was destroyed.
The first Death
And
Star.
not just that Vader kept killing them. Like, I think it was 3 or 4 times that he promoted somebody to an admiral or captain.
I only saw him force choke 2 people. It was at 4 and 5. And 5 was where he's like, he promoted the guy. He's like, it's your job now.
Yes, admiral. Make sure you don't fail me.
That was ever.
Yes. Who thinks another big plot point that needs to be brought up?
The Obi giving Luke his father's lightsaber. That's a really big thing.
Training him.
And training him.
crazy.
And then,
He gave him his blue lightsaber too, right?
no, it was Anakin's. Because remember, he
that's what I meant.
cut it and took it. So that's actual his father's lightsaber and everything. And then once you get into the fight, then there's that whole epicness of like Vader versus Obi-Wan. Which that does kind of make sense because once you get to 4, he's supposed to be half man, half machine versus an old man. That's why the fighting style isn't like too crazy as it was when we last saw them in 3.
Yeah.
I think that fight was I think it was perfect for their age.
It brought depth to it.
Yes, and seeing like after the prequel trilogy, watching it, you could see how personal it is.
I will never.
It was really classy.
I will never forget that quote to the day I fucking die, and that's why Obi-Wan is my favorite character. Strike me down, and I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Let's be honest. Obi could have kicked his ass had he wanted to.
Yeah, he could have, but he was like, no, because he realized, I think, through talking to Qui-Gon and shit like that, that Luke, if somebody was to bring down the Empire and the Sith, it would be his own son, because it would connect to the heart, the man that was left in the machine.
It makes me wonder why that Obi-Wan let him kill him though.
Because he was sacrificing himself that the Millennium Falcon could get away, and then he had already trained
away.
He had already known this, because mind you, Obi-Wan was the first one to train with a master after the master had died. So he was the only guy that was like, yes, I can continue training Luke even after I die. And, then send him off to Yoda. So they both, code trained him. So I buy him sacrificing himself because it served those 2 plot things, that he could continue his training after death and that he saved the rest of them, like Han Solo, Leia, fucking Chewie.
Huh.
I do agree with you that it is more impactful for Luke to be the hero that he becomes, because it does just seem more fitting for Anakin's son to take him down.
All right, but we're still on hope. Once we get to Jedi, we'll get into all that.
I mean, yeah. I'm just saying, I agree with your initial point. It is more impactful.
I know you want to say something. D, what's going on over there?
Well, I'm just thinking we're skipping over Leia. I don't know.
Honey buns?
How can we skip over Leia?
Sugar tits.
No thoughts on Leia?
I don't know. I feel like she plays a larger role in Empire.
She's a fucking bitch in A New Hope.
She doesn't quite do anything.
She's kind of cunny, and then once you get to Empire, like she's not a cunt, but she's a bitch, but has a heart. And then you get to Jedi where she's all sexy. But anyway, I don't know, with Leia in A New Hope, I'm just like, wow, she's just an uber bitch for some guys that are breaking in trying to save her ass.
Risking their lives.
And she's like making fun of Han Solo and everything.
Making fun of Luke being short. You're not too short to be a stormtrooper.
I feel like she's more or less just a figurehead in 4, and she just becomes more well developed as a character throughout the other 2 movies. So.
Was her home planet destroyed in A New Hope?
Yeah, yep. New Hope. They blow up what?
Alderaan.
Is Alderaan? Sorry. Earlier I had said Dantooine, but no, they take her to Alderaan and then they blow her.
She says Dantooine as the
Rebel Alliance. Yep.
I've always wondered, did Vader know that was his daughter?
I'm not sure.
I don't think
sure.
Did he ever know that was his daughter?
It's never
then
really
this is
presented.
like tying into. All right, so what I was gonna say is, no, he didn't know, because she wasn't that powerful in the Force. But then that would coincide with my statement earlier about the Jedi not knowing that Kamino exists and that
Yeah,
the
they'd
clone
go back
army
on
was
to
being built.
exactly. It'd go on that.
So,
How did he know Luke was his son, but not Leia?
I don't know why he wouldn't realize that it was his daughter.
Well, she was pretty well taken care of. I mean, I know she was an important person, but maybe he did know.
But the flaw, all right, so the flaw once the prequels came in, Organa's a dark motherfucker. I don't know. We never see his wife. He's dark, and then you're going to pass me off as Carrie Fisher as his daughter?
It's adopted, you know.
But Vader didn't know that. You know what I mean? So I would have raised question, like, kind of white to be his daughter. Because he's a dark guy.
That is true.
But Obi-Wan is dead. They fly out of there.
Oh, sorry. Continue. Oh,
I was just going to close it up. Unless you have something else to say.
or unless... All right, so maybe Vader knew that was his daughter, and he was using that to draw out his son out of hiding. Because, mind you, the son had been gone, no contact or anything.
Perhaps.
Because he knew that... But then he knew he had a half-brother, Ben. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's how I would say it. Maybe he was just trying to draw out the other child.
Kind of a roundabout way of doing it.
I don't know. But anyway, so now we get to Empire.
Fuck yeah.
The fucking greatest movie of the series.
I
don't
have
care what
no
any
flaws.
motherfucker wants to say.
I wish it would show more sources and actual dialogue.
Skin.
Yeah.
Empire. Focus.
You can't beat the Hoth scene.
Everything
Really?
about
That's the highlight of Empire for you
No,
is the Hoth
it's
scene?
just you coming in the Hoth scene. You see Luke getting attacked by the Wampa. You see Han saving him. What's the internal temperature for Wampa?
You see
Or
the
Tauntaun?
fucking
lukewarm.
the AT-ATs. I forget the specific names of them, but the AT-ATs, yes. You see the AT-ATs and they introduced the A-Wing and everything.
Ooh. Imperial Walkers.
everything about that movie is
crazy.
fantastic. Speaking of
Which
the
are more
AT-ATs,
badass than the chicken walkers that they try to feed us in Return of the
Well,
Jedi.
Oh, true that.
Speaking of
AT-STs?
AT-ATs,
Huh?
Are they called
God
the
damn it.
ATSTs?
Yeah, but this is code name because that's what they called them, chicken walkers.
Yeah.
honestly, the only thing that kind of weirded me about Empire, because that movie is flawless otherwise, was when they were on the Battle of Hoth and they were wrapping the tow cables around the AT-AT walkers. Like, if you remember slightly before that, when they were firing blasts at the AT-AT walkers, they were like, oh, their armor is too strong for our lasers. After it, falls over because of the tow cables and they shoot at it, then it blows up.
No,
So,
you
I mean,
see,
that-
there's a section there. There's about, I'm going to guess about
Where
1 meter
the
by about 4
shield
meters.
generator
I
would
rewatched
be
that
is
scene
damaged when
twice.
it falls.
Yeah, and they shoot at that little area
Okay,
between the head
okay.
and between the body. And they
See,
shoot at
See,
it.
I couldn't figure that out, and I rewatched that scene
Break-
twice, and I didn't notice that.
breaking away because kind of the analogy I would use is like Star Trek. You have this massive ship, but it's surrounded by a force field and everything. The shield generator. Once they knock them down, and what happened was when it hits the ground, it damages that part where the shield generator would
Okay.
be. Then they're vulnerable.
That's
to
kind of
fire.
what I was theorizing, but I mean, I just kind of wanted to bounce that off of you guys and see what your thoughts were, 'cause it's sort of whatever. But that movie, in my opinion, is flawless. I love that movie.
Dude, Empire's my favorite, but I want to give the reins to somebody who has been driving the entire conversation and has yet to really give his thoughts on Empire. Dylan, please tell us what you think about Empire.
Empire is the darkest movie in the original trilogy by far.
You mean dark in the same way that Revenge was dark?
More like dark in the same way the Temple of Doom is dark, because it's part of a true trilogy. The second movie is the darker one. It's shown up in many trilogies to come, actually. Other than the Hoth scene, I think the most important scene, other than the lightsaber duel between Luke and Vader, is the scene in Cloud City.
Dude, Cloud
Oh,
City,
with
I
Lando.
can't believe how much Lando fucked them over and over. Unintentionally, but still, fucked him the first time, and it just led to that.
Yeah, and I mean, I could kind of sympathize with him to an extent. They showed up right before you did. They kind of tied my hands, so I mean, there's that. But it was still kind of a dick move.
one of only 2 black people in the Star Wars universe.
Which is why Mace Windu is favorable, because Mace Windu never fucked anybody.
I
Lando's
disagree.
little nigger bitch.
I would pick Lando Calrissian over Mace
Billy
Windu.
D. fucking
What?
Williams.
Lando Calrissian's a badass.
He is.
But Lando Calrissian is a fucking liar.
that
and a thief.
mustache.
His
But
hands were
he's,
tied,
he's
though.
not like a Jedi or anything like that. He's a Han Solo guy. So when Han Solo's like, this guy's like badass, I trust him from back in the day and everything, you're like, oh my god, he has to be epic.
You're not going to sway me on this opinion. Mace Windu was the
There's a-
best black man in Star Wars history.
Lando, all the way.
We've got our different opinions.
All right,
It's
Jake,
to say that
grab me a beer. But all right. Really, you didn't like Lando?
it's not that I didn't like him. It's that I liked Mace more. But Lando was a liar. I mean, right when he came up
He
there.
had to do what he had to do to save Cloud City.
But what's more important, saving Cloud City or saving the people that could overturn the Empire?
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one.
Exactly.
So,
So do you want to him have? You're put in that position, Skinny Kyle. Do you want to save 3 people, or do you want to fucking commit 600 to their death?
if they're that exactly the 600 that we committed to their death,
Because
would be
you
in
don't
Cloud
know.
City.
You don't know. You're Lando Calrissian. You don't know that these are the ones that will bring down the Empire. You're just like, the 3 fucking jackasses. I'll sell them out to
then
save the
I can't
600.
make that decision though because it's here instead of there. In retrospect, he should have. That pizza
You're-
looks disgusting.
You're eating some of his new one?
You're eating his new one.
Enjoy, Popeye.
I thought he said it was okay.
But I don't know. Dude, fucking Empire's like Dylan said, it's a much more darker of the film. That is my favorite of the fucking series, because you have Lando sells him out and everything, and then you have Han frozen in carbonite, and they have that epic scene. Fuck any love movie, like love story that you've ever seen. That hands down is the greatest thing. I love you. I know. And then he's fucking frozen in the carbonite because he's a true badass, dude.
That really is. And you got Luke doing his training on Dagobah with Yoda, which doesn't go well because.
But
Luke
you
fucking
also
leaves.
see the little bit of Anakin in him because he doesn't listen to Yoda and he leaves to go save them.
Yeah.
So I kind of get where the prequels were trying to hint at something like that, where he was more emotional, not as emotional as his emo ass father, but
Before we get to the final battle, I want to say Boba Fett is awesome.
Boba Fett is the greatest bounty hunter to ever live.
All of those bounty hunters that are introduced, you don't see them ever again.
I love Boba Fett, and
Well,
I
that-
think it's awesome. I mean, even though it's such a small role he plays, I mean, it's not like the most important role in Empire. It's still so epic.
You don't see any other bounty hunters driving their ships. I mean, you got Boba and a slave too, right?
The slave, that's what it's
Wasn't
called.
a slave too?
Nope, just a slave.
Actually, I think it's a slave 1.
Yeah,
So-
not slave 1. I just meant it's called the slave. It's not slave 2.
Yeah.
But
Regardless, you've got him and Jango's slave, the slave, cause same ship, isn't it?
well, yeah.
Yeah.
You got him following the Millennium Falcon in the ship. So I mean, even that tells you that Boba's gonna be a more important character than just Greedo or the nameless other bounty hunters.
But when you're watching the original series, like what makes Boba Fett badass is he's like one of the first villains that they introduced, because this is before Jabba, that it's a villain that does not bow to the Empire. Does not, like, you know what I mean, just listen to whatever they say. He's out to do whatever he wants to do. So if fucking Han Solo dies, he's like, he's no good to me dead. I don't give a shit what you guys do. I want him alive because I'm not with you guys. I'm here to get him.
Yeah, that really makes him a cool villain. Like, he's just he follows his own code.
So, in the original trilogy, he was one of the first villains that's like, I'm not part of this bigger thing, dude. I'm just out here to do this.
So,
No, go ahead.
I've
love
never
Boba
said that about bounty hunters, how they can be so selfish about it, because you've got Vader on the Empire, and you've got Luke on the Rebels side, or back.
Why are they so selfish? It's money.
Well,
But-
think about
but
Boba.
Luke-
Fett's-
Mind you, the rebellion is a small thing. The Empire is ginormous.
But there's Luke.
Why would
or
you side
Vader.
with Luke?
There's Luke or Vader who could just kill Boba in an instant.
Well, think about
Like,
Boba
really, they
Fett's
get in a
standpoint
fight,
to begin
they're
with.
dead.
He's
But
going to be selfish because he
Boba's
has
not
nothing.
Boba's not part of their conflict.
Exactly. So if Boba steps on their toes, like the Empire's toes, then Vader can just be like, you know what, Boba, I'm tired of you. You're dead.
But these bounty hunters,
But he knows he needs him.
they
They're
have
contracted
connections.
out.
They have connections with like the Hutts and all these other different
Yeah,
factions.
the mafia
Exactly.
aspect of Star Wars.
But still, it's the fucking Dark Lord of the Sith.
Well, regardless,
Well,
not to
the-
mention,
the
you asked why they could be so selfish. Boba Fett literally has nothing. I mean, given his past and everything, he doesn't need connections. He's out for his own. That's all he cares about. That's kind of what makes him a badass.
If we go into the extended universe, I mean, there's all kinds of things that go on, but if you're just looking at the films, Boba's just a badass guy who's trying to get job done to get
He's
some
a
money.
punk bitch.
I'm under the assumption he had bad blood with Solo, though,
Yeah.
so there is some.
Well, mind you,
that-
they both had worked for Jabba, so
Yes.
it's kind of hinted at that there is some bad blood. Maybe they're rivals on a job or something like that.
Exactly.
Boba and Han?
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they both worked for Jabba. Maybe it's like, well, I'll pay whoever gets there first. I'll give them the money, and maybe Han beat Boba there, and there's some bad
sure.
blood. But like, what else you want to talk about Empire?
There's tons of things
Well-
to talk about.
I mean, Empire, we've got the AT-ATs at the beginning. The
Well,
AT-ATs.
yeah, we covered Hoth, and then I went to go take a piss, and I come back and we're talking about Cloud City and the only black guy in Star Wars.
Well, the middle part is when Luke is training with Yoda.
Training with
isn't it?
Yoda.
Yeah, I mean, Luke fails at raising the X-wing. Yoda's like, dude, fuck off. I don't care what you believe. Here's how you do it. He does it, and Luke's like, oh, I'm sorry that I was mistaken, kind of thing.
But at the end of the day, he did say "fuck Yoda" and went to Cloud City
Yeah,
to go
exactly.
save everybody.
He was
so.
like, well, fuck you again, because...
I don't believe that
Yeah.
you just proved me wrong. But
And then he goes to Cloud City, as we're at Cloud City. But then, oh, your father, hand cut off. He's at the bottom of the Cloud City. Apparently, Leia and Luke have telepathy and can
The
listen
Force.
to each other's minds.
because mind you, they're one of the only three at that point because Vader had killed all the Jedi.
4.
Well, 4 because Yoda's still alive. Yes, one of the only 4 that are connected to the Force. So he was able to reach out to her via that.
Yeah, but it's still crazy because Leia's not really... She doesn't know about the Force. She doesn't know...
Kyle,
that
this-
she
but
can
it's
connect.
cool.
Shut up. This ties into earlier when we were talking about the Mandalorians. She had to have had some because she was Anakin's son, our
Well,
daughter. you know
That'll
what I
tie
mean?
again to the Yoda thing, where Yoda says, if he does fail, there is another.
Yeah,
He doesn't really specify who that other is, be it some random Jedi that might be
But it's-
like I'm fucking Dan.
you had to be fucking Ray Charles to not get who he's hinting at.
Leia, of course, Leia.
You know what I mean? Like, but then, what you're saying was you didn't get like why of all people that he would reach out to Leia. It'd be because she was connected to the Force by
But he didn't know
her
that. But
midichlorians
he didn't
and
know that.
everything.
He didn't know who his sister was. He didn't know who other Force sensitive people were. But
In
it
your
was just-
dying moment, you would probably reach out to everybody, and that was the only one that answered back and kind of knew what he.
He didn't answer for everybody. He asked for who did he ask for first.
Yeah, I thought you said like Obi-Wan or something.
He asked for a specific person first,
Insane.
and then he went to Leia.
He didn't go to Leia specifically, did he?
Yes, he did. I watched it today. He
Well, who was the original one? Was he like
Leia.
father?
I thought it was Obi.
No, it was Zobi.
Okay.
So I can't remember the first one. I remember him contacting.
Because Obi aided
Leia.
him earlier.
Yes. But he does that, which I find weird that he would choose Leia of all people. But it works. Leia comes
Maybe
back.
at the time he started to feel her
It could be a subconscious thing. Yeah, like more
through the
feeling.
Force.
Yeah. Then Leia comes, picks him up, and he gets healed.
I know you're going over there like, Dylan. But we're just trying to like connect and like rationalize everything. So maybe he could feel her through the Force and everything, through her mandichlorians and everything.
I'm
Metachlorians.
not disagreeing with this conversation at all. I just think we shouldn't skip over the "I am your father" thing because that is one of the biggest things in cinema.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that at all.
What?
He said, "Skip." You want to skip
He said
over? it?
No,
Skip
I'm
over
saying. No, I'm saying. Why are you skipping over it?
Well, because it's so. It's
everybody
so
knows
cliche.
it. You know,
Like, oh, Luke Skywalker, who's his dad? Darth Vader.
Yes, but it was
Everyone knows.
huge.
it was
time.
epic. I'm not gonna lie. It is a breathtaking moment.
Like, so much emotion.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, what can you say that's not already been said? Like, you know, what I mean,
Exactly.
like, yeah, it's a real, like, fucking. Oh my god, when they reveal that that's his
What
dad,
a
but
mind fuck.
like,
Dude,
well,
it
I don't
really
know.
was. It did shock people.
I don't know, dog. Like, what else do you want us to say about it?
Yeah, it's already been said, dude.
I'm just saying.
Like, I'm not.
It was one of those big moments in cinema. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not trying to diminish.
It
how
was a
important
classic
it was,
moment in cinema.
But it was definitely.
You guys spend like 5 minutes talking about, oh my god, Leia and Luke had this connection.
We're trying to justify something that's
Yeah, we're
not
trying-
really talked about, and I don't know, you're bringing up something that's very well talked about, and a lot of people know. So
Well,
it's like a
let's be honest.
Like
the people
on the top, like 3 spoilers is like Luke is
Luke's a Jedi.
what? Spoilers. I mean, like Vader's Luke's father. Snape
Lando's
kills Dumbledore. I,
Lando was black. Spoiler.
Dumbledore. Not in the Star Wars trilogy, just in general.
It doesn't
Like,
matter.
it's really up there.
People are going to be listening to this want to hear about those kind of things.
But they know it already. They better fucking know it already.
But they want to hear these people talk about it because they want to hear your opinion about it.
It
They listen to podcasts to hear people's opinions about it. They already know everything about the Star Wars movies, but they're like, well, I want to hear what these 4 fucking retards want
right.
to know about it.
we're at a minute. We're at an hour and a half. Like, what else do you want to say about Empire?
Darkest film in the trilogy.
It is
Good movie.
the best film of the trilogy.
I agree with that.
It's a toss-up for me. It's that or Return of the Jedi, but we'll get into that.
fucking
Yeah.
I
right
love
on.
this movie.
So, they leave. His hand gets fixed. Death Star's still blown up, and Death Star 2 is underway. Anyway, Return of the Jedi. Go.
The movie that I actually didn't watch, like, I didn't have enough time to actually watch that one.
Ewoks.
Jedi. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Jedi is my least favorite of the original trilogy.
It
I
does.
just-
It is pretty lackluster, and I
I
definitely
can't get
remember less
into
of it than the other 2.
Yeah, I'm trying my hardest to grasp about it, but right now all I remember are the Ewoks and, like, the speeders and everything.
Return of the Jedi
Battle of
after
Yavin 4.
Empire was George Lucas's attempt to make it more kid-friendly because it was getting too dark. But he pandered too much to
The Ewoks.
Ewoks. I love Ewoks, though.
They're so cute.
You have to
I'd have
no
sex
soul.
with an Ewok.
You got to be hard
Fucking-
pressed to find somebody that doesn't like an Ewok.
But yeah, I do see what you're talking about, Dylan. But when you I don't know. My thing is when you put Return up to the other films, it's just not that great. For me, that's my personal opinion. A New Hope and then Empire Strikes Back. It's like Return of the Jedi. Just kind of the point of it is to tie everything together. It isn't like anything cool to it, for me personally. But
You got that ending fight scene between
Yeah.
Luke and Vader.
we're skipping.
We're
Like
skipping
we have to
tons of
actually
good
talk about the
things.
movie.
We
So
start off.
that's why I was trying to throw the ball back at you, Dylan.
Yes. Do we start off in Endor or do we start off in the desert?
Desert.
No, it is a desert because C-3PO and R2-D2 are going up to Jabba's palace,
Oh
Yeah, that's
'cause they have to
right.
Go unfreeze
and
Han
then you
yeah.
see
Carbonite.
Luke come
Cloaked-
later.
Cloaked Luke.
Yes. Cloaked Luke.
Yeah, he's in a cloak.
Yeah, he is wearing a cloak when he walks in.
He's wearing Jedi robes.
When I say
Mind you, they're black, so maybe
I'm
he's
sorry.
a Sith. I don't know, but
I'm
anyway.
getting kind of stuck on the whole Leia being in the cloak and that mask when she unfreezes Luke.
That's right.
Who is it?
Han-
Someone who
Han
loves you.
Unfreezes Luke.
No, Han.
You said unfreezes Luke.
No, when Luke comes up.
No,
and
you,
Leia
you
freezes
didn't
Han.
say
You didn't say
unfreezes
unfreezes.
Luke.
Yes.
Potato.
Luke and Han, really?
Potato.
Whatever.
Okay, yeah, but she's in that.
She's
Billy
a bounty.
D's there, too.
She's posing as a bounty hunter in Jabba's palace after R2-D2 and C-3PO will roll up there, but they're being sent by Luke because he's getting ready to swoop in later. Leia doesn't know that because
Oh, she is in that black.
she's a spy coming in,
Because that's when they go after they unfreeze them, get caught quasi,
Yep.
and then get caught
and then
above the
Luke comes and tries to
Sarlacc pit.
I did say
We're
Sarlacc.
skipping over things.
Rancor.
Yes.
you.
But yes, that's when she fails, and then you see Luke come in, and Luke's like, "Well, blah blah blah." And what the hell? Jabba said, "Well, Jedi tricks only work on the weak-minded, or whatever. It doesn't work on him." Fucking epic. But anyway, so they drop him into the Rancor pit, and he has to fucking slay the Rancor. So it's like, oh my god, like Luke Skywalker has grown since I've seen him in Empire. Because last I
Well, it's
saw
been
him
like
is-
2 or 3 years.
oh, my hand got chopped off.
No.
Not that gay. Not as gay as Anakin.
It
but
wasn't. I didn't make it that gay.
it wasn't gay. He had his hand chopped off. And then you see him return as like a more confident
He was.
badass.
He became a true Jedi.
Well, yeah, his character development is definitely one of the more positive aspects of the film.
Actually, I think this is kind of a good point to bring up. It was originally titled Revenge
Revenge
of
of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But the Jedi don't have revenge.
Exactly.
They're not vengeful.
Extremely interesting, but we
It's-
cut to the Sarlacc pit.
It's crazy that I'm going to jump back to the revenge thing. It is crazy that George Lucas would even have that title Revenge in the beginning.
Because he
before changing it.
backtracked.
He did.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that he'd be like, oh, Revenge
Like-
of the Jedi, because they're coming back.
When George is like, oh yeah, I had 1 and 2. I had 1, 2, and 3 written. I was just waiting until I could get special features up to what I wanted to.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
His friends can confirm that, but I think it's all bullshit.
But
Steven Spielberg supports him.
Yeah.
I think he had a rough idea. He didn't know what he wanted to portray, though. So when he's like, I had them fully written, bullshit, George. I think you had a rough idea if you're going to do a
The
prequel.
outlines.
That is
But-
presented with the amalgam of a fucking mindfuck that 1 and 2 are, so.
But so back to Return of the Jedi. Jesus Christ, we keep dovetailing. Oh no, Jedi. So they're at the Snarlack pit. An interesting thing that I never really realized until I started hanging out with Robert Lopez. Robert Lopez, biggest fan of fucking Boba Fett you've ever met in your life.
Well, who can blame him?
Well, I never really thought about Boba Fett until I met Robert, and Robert's like, well, dude, Boba Fett's the greatest character in the trilogy, blah,
I'm
blah,
not a
blah.
huge fan of Boba Fett.
And he even named his
Slave.
van, the slave. But I didn't know this in the extended universe
Yep,
that
he survived.
he survived. I
Which-
never knew that, and I really dig that it's dovetailing anyway. But I really dig that they're connecting on that with the new movies that
So they're gonna keep
he
him
did survive.
Quasi thing.
But
like
the
they
Sarlacc
acknowledge
pit, Sarlacc pit was beautiful for what it was, and then they redid it with the giant penis that comes out of the ground.
Awful.
Which
Awful.
they do that
Oh,
in
God.
they do that in
And the-
Empire.
I want to
which
talk
is
about
the giant penis comes out of Empire while they're on the trying to escape from the Empire, and it comes out
in
while
the
they're hiding
moon?
in the cave.
No, because it came out. It does come out as a puppet.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do.
I
The
watched the original
Snorlack,
theatrical
Snorlack
version.
is completely made up. Like it's a
Sarlacc.
giant thing with teeth, and then out of nowhere, this penis comes out and eats you.
I haven't seen the redone version of Return.
Don't
Yeah.
you own the redone Blu-rays?
Yeah, but I didn't.
The
watch it.
remastered?
I
Didn't
watch
get around
yet.
to it.
Oh. I thought you said you did.
No, I didn't get to it.
Okay.
No, but Jabba's fucking toast. Where we've killed him. They've killed him.
Did
Yeah,
not get that far in our
dude.
commentary, but yes, he does. Doesn't Leia choke him out?
Yes,
Lay
that's
it
what I
shut
was
the
getting ready to
fuck
talk
out of
about.
A little midget.
As a
guy.
small boy,
Oh, yeah, let's go about
one
that.
of the most arousing things
He's
I'd
in a
ever
sticky.
seen. Like you're talking like a 5 or 6 year old, so you don't really know what sex is. But man, when I saw that, and I was like,
Carrie Fisher.
What a woman.
when she was in that slave outfit, I was like, what is this feeling?
Jen. Jen, what the hell is going on with my cock?
One of the first, and I don't care who you are. Like you talk to even like I've listened to like podcasts with Kevin Smith and everything. Like even older guys and my dad. One of the first crushes of a young boy's life is Princess like
Yeah.
slave outfit.
I think we're all guilty of that here.
That's interesting because the movie was supposed to pander to children, but then they have the most
Slave Leia.
Yeah, it is the most sexualized character.
The hottest thing you'd ever seen.
Well, when you
I
think about
understand.
it, did her character even really need to be sexualized? Because you see her growth between 4 and 5. So I mean, it was kind of.
I do
odd.
believe Jake, shut up. I do believe she needed to be sexualized.
It was just like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's hot, but is it unnecessary? Maybe just a little.
George knew who the core audience was.
Yeah, I think he took advantage of that. That's all I'm saying.
middle-aged guys.
Middle-aged guys, pubescent teens.
6 to 9 year olds in the mid 90s.
Jesus.
Oh,
It
wait.
was early 80s, sir.
See, I don't
No,
know.
I mean, like,
I justify
to
the
us.
slave
to us,
outfit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's us.
No matter what, I justify the slave outfit. It's epic. But
It is.
so all right. So we covered. All right, Jesus Christ, Return of the Jedi. We covered the Snorlax pit and Princess Leia's outfit. Like, I don't know what else you want to talk about.
Jabba's dead now.
Jabba's dead.
Jabba's dead.
She strangled him.
Now we're going to Endor. No, Luke goes to see. Does he go
Yeah,
see
he
Yoda
goes to see
first?
Dagobah again. He goes to Dagobah. And
He
watches
goes to see
die.
Yoda. Is that that's when
Oh,
Yoda
shit,
dies.
yeah.
He fades.
Yes.
That was a sad
Just-
scene.
There was. You see him put his grammar stick up.
Oh my god.
You see him lay down and just
Fucking die.
return to the Force.
Epic.
I
Poor
it,
Yoda.
It didn't give me as much as New Hope when Obi died.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
They were
I mean,
both sad, but I
He
think
dies like all
Yoda's
slowly,
was like,
covers him up with a blanket.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it really
It
comes
didn't
to me
get
when
me,
you look
dude.
back on the original trilogy, or the prequel trilogy.
That's what I'm talking to you
Watching
about.
Yoda do all the stuff he did, and then just you look back on a Return, you just see him die, and just leave nothing behind.
It is
It's
really
really,
impactful.
really sad.
He actually probably suffered the most out of everybody.
Definitely.
It's
He
not
lived-
that sad because he trained Luke, and Luke carried on. And well, I don't know because
Yoda
they're
could've
making
taught
they're
way
making
more.
it stop. They're making an episode 7, but the expanded universe, no matter what you talk about, is Luke rebuilt the Jedi Order.
Yes.
So it's not that sad because he did not die for nothing. He created the next Yoda, not like the alien species, but the next master.
And
He
Yoda lived-
trained Luke. Hence, Empire to Return of the Jedi, Luke's transformation was because of Yoda. Yoda taught him much more of the deeper Force
he lived for
aspects
about
of
900
everything.
years. Wasn't it about 900?
1,900, yeah.
Yeah, his species
If I remember.
lives about 1,000 years, I
And
think.
he left off. He died with one Jedi alive.
Yeah, but what you said was he died. He died with nothing. No, he did not die with nothing.
Well,
It
but-
continued.
He only lived to see one Jedi being alive, which I would be.
That's still
saddened.
continuing the Force and carrying.
When, I don't know. Maybe from Yoda's perspective, even if one Jedi can live on, maybe it's a positive thing.
All right, fuck it, boys. All three of us are getting into the expanded universe. We need to bring it back in. But anyway, all right. So Yoda dies. Yes, it's a really sad scene, but
Lock in Endor.
Endor. Dylan Henshaw's favorite thing about Star Wars: Ewoks.
Fucking Ewoks.
Oh, adorable.
Do you know how many times I sang along with that song at the end?
Jesus.
No, but
didn't?
tell me now. This is gold.
A lot. I wore that VHS tape out
How many times have you seen this movie?
a lot.
The movie is worth watching for the fucking Ewoks. That's not my question.
Fair enough.
C-3PO is a god.
That is awesome.
I found that really weird. How even though they're in the uncivilized world where the Ewoks were reigning, that they would choose to have C-3PO be their god. Crazy.
Well, wouldn't you choose a shiny gold man to
This
be
really
your god?
fey robot.
No, Jake, because that's a flaw you see in that. Because he had the chicken walkers and everything on Endor.
Yeah.
Because the Empire's
they
already
had
there.
all of that there. And then this
And you pick
3PO.
that to be your god?
Exactly.
He's a shiny golden man. I mean, what more
I
do
think
you
it was
want?
the gold. It was the gold.
I'm pretty sure it is the gold.
No, but the Ewoks are so endearing. I don't know how you can't like them. I know a lot of people give them shit.
They're
No,
that ring
Ewoks
face.
are awesome.
That is
Oh,
epic.
I felt that was George copying out when he did Revenge of the Sith. He was like, "Oh, well, we're going to do the Battle of Kashyyyk," and showed you fucking Wookiees. I'm like, not as epic as the Ewoks. They're a third of their size, but fought way harder.
I mean, the Wookiees were I mean, that's come back to episode 3. The Wookiees were really big. Did fucking damage. But Ewoks are way cuter.
So,
Super cute. I'm done.
all right. So that's what the fuck is there left to talk about Return of the Jedi? Because I'm trying to not talk about the end of it.
Well, that's what I
we're
was
there
going to
now.
jump to.
You
Yeah.
guys just want to talk
we
about
got
the
the Battle
end?
of Endor. They defeat the Empire, Quasi, and you got Han tapping the stormtrooper on the shoulder, distracting him, and then them coming up with the ATSC, blowing up the storm doors.
The speeder sequence
the
is pretty
speeder fight.
awesome.
That is, but
It's an awesome movie.
You
We just
guys-
cut to the ending.
Yeah, I was going to say.
so the ending of Return of the Jedi. Let's discuss that, boys, because that's where ties together quote unquote George Lucas's entire vision of it. Like 1 through 6, this ties it all together.
It is. I don't know. I still think it is epic and kind of impactful. Just seeing Darth just kind of be like, "Oh, this is my son," and push Sidious off that ledge.
What
kind of forward there, even though we're at the end of the movie.
Once
Still
you
kinda
get to
forward.
Return of the Jedi, I think it does kind of dumb down Darth Vader's character, and it makes him look weaker.
It does.
I don't think so.
But,
It makes him
but that
kinda more
ties
tough
into
as human.
maybe he
side.
knew it was his son. You know
he
what
does
I mean?
know it
So-
is. He knew he was an Empire.
He didn't want to kill him.
Yeah, he didn't want to kill him.
He didn't want to kill
Yes.
I think it shows his really inner conflict between the dark side and the light side, knowing that he
Exactly.
is. Because I didn't mention this, but in episode 1, they talk about how Darth Plagueis, he wants to create a being of pure dark energy, a dark force, but he fails and ends up making a being of light energy, which ends up being Anakin. Doesn't say it in the movies. It's more expanded universe. But Anakin gets created because in the movies also you'll remember that
He has
they were
no
talking
father.
about. They were talking with his mother about who Anakin's father was, and he's like, he has no father. But Darth Plagueis made Anakin in the vision of Darth Lord, but ended up being light. He made him. Anakin grows up. So Anakin is actually
he didn't end up being part of the light.
He did.
Okay, George Lucas. No, he is not the one that brings true balance to the
You don't
Force.
think
It was
so?
Luke.
No way. Luke was a harbinger to help him.
No.
But Anakin so finished off Darth Sidious in the
And
movie
this is a
universe.
great argument about Star Wars. Like, you have the original series guys that are like, Luke is a hero. And then you have the guys that are like, well, I include
No.
all 6 films and see the overarching Anakin storyline. So I see where you're coming from.
Even in the original films,
Anakin is
throws
not
him over
the
the
fucking
edge.
hero of the story.
Anakin throws him over the edge, and that is what kills Darth Sidious.
Anakin throws him over the edge, and that causes the end of Dark City. So, do you mean Luke?
No, Anakin throws him over the edge.
Darth saw Luke suffering at the hands of the Emperor and rushed in to help
I
him.
thought you were like, okay, we're talking Vader. Why are you like bringing
Sorry,
up Anakin?
Vader.
That's why it fucked me. I was like, are
Well,
you
Vader
fucking-
and Anakin are the same
but-
people. I mean, dark side,
No,
or dark
but-
side, light side.
Ugh.
But can I get some help here? I mean,
No,
Darth-
once
see
you
your
get to
point.
the end of the movie, Vader was so far gone. All those years by himself and being half robotic, he did lose his humanity.
I disagree.
It is touched upon throughout. Yes, at the end of it, he did try. He did come and pick up the Emperor and everything.
and he brings
But he
the
is
balance
not
to
the one
Force.
that brings balance to the Force. It is Luke returning his father to the light side. That is what brings balance to the Force.
Okay.
He is not a harbinger. It is Luke.
If we're gonna go with semantics of whether or not the push back to the light side was the balance, then that's a whole different subject. But Anakin, Darth, finished off the dark side. He did.
So, all right. So, Jesus Christ, is argument
Well-
time. But all right. So, if you're gonna say Anakin is the one that brings balance to the Force at the end, even if at the end of fucking Return of the Jedi, he leaves Luke's living. That's not true balance to the Force because there is no Sith but one Jedi still
so
living.
then how does Luke?
Luke
react
is
to
the one
Force
that
then?
brings balance to the Force because he's the neutral aspect of it.
No, Luke is light side. Not even a question. He's on the light side of the Force.
More than Anakin? Like, because you're portraying Anakin as the fucking hero.
He
Vader.
is.
No, dude.
He is.
He's talking about Anakin overall. I mean, even if you think about it, Anakin's progeny, Luke, still acted as his vessel.
Definitely.
But he was more true to the light side and was more gooder. That's why Luke is the one that brings balance to the Force. He corrected the sins of the father.
Now, I still agree.
Anakin.
I agree with you.
Anakin brought balance to the
Who
Force.
do you agree with?
Vader does get that cheap shot on Sidious.
No.
But
Vader could have let Luke
he-
die.
he
could have let Luke
corrects-
die. He could have.
That
Nobody's
is
saying-
completely
nobody's saying
true.
that.
No.
Nobody's saying that.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But the true hero was the son.
Darth Vader.
Because he brought balance and
No.
did what his father couldn't do via emotion when he was a younger man.
No, it
The
wasn't
fact
that-
Luke's
the
choice.
fact
It
that
wasn't
Darth
Luke's choice.
let-
Luke could have.
Okay.
He would have just died, if Vader had not chosen between saving the Emperor or saving Luke, it was his choice. It was
But
Luke's choice.
You
not,
see
I mean, it
the
was Vader's
hero
choice,
of the
not Luke.
story.
The fact that Darth
Anakin was
chose to act
posed
on
with
his
the
more
same
humane side
fucking
and save
choice.
his own son kind of reflects him acting on the
What was he
light
saying?
side of the Force.
Jake, shut the fuck up. Anyway,
I'm just saying.
you
I
saw
can agree with Kyle's
Anakin.
point.
You saw Anakin pose with the same question in Revenge of the Sith. Do I choose this or do I choose that? And you obviously saw how he chose, dude. Like
He chose to save his son, which kind of makes him act on the light
more
side of the
emotional. What did Luke Skywalker do? He went for what was right and what was more
No,
moral.
because Luke was going to die.
And he knew that.
If Vader had not stepped in, Luke was going to die.
No, he would have lit.
Do you really think he would have lived?
Luke was gonna die, dude.
So Vader stepped in.
But Vader
And-
isn't the hero of the
Yes, he
story.
wa- if it was Vader's choice, was he going to save Sidious or was he going to save
Because
Luke?
it's the sins of
You know,
the son rights the sins of the father.
We can fight about this forever, Kyle.
Let's just go with the
But-
Skywalkers brought balance to the
Skywalker's
Force.
brought balance. We can definitely
can agree.
Fuck it.
Which, I mean, I think it's still fucked up for Luke to just leave Anakin like that. Just leave him laying on that fucking whatever
He
the fuck he's
didn't.
on.
He didn't leave him.
No, he
there,
didn't. He
man.
brings him back and burns him.
Yeah.
No, like to
So that's
die.
that's
I
the
mean,
final image.
Yeah.
he could have brought him back on the ship and done something for him.
He was gonna die, dude.
No,
His
there was
time had
there was
come.
no way he was gonna die, and Luke gave him the proper Jedi death.
The funeral pyre.
Burning.
Burn
through
them.
fire. Yeah. Wait, so
to
you're saying
to right the sins
Kyle,
of
you're
his
saying
father,
that-
he
you're saying
he
that
justified
Anakin
everything.
Was a Jedi in the end?
No,
But
I'm
he
saying
gave
his
a Jedi.
he gave his father a rightful Jedi death. That's what I said. Luke
I
Luke
think
did
Skinny's just playing devil's
Luke did
advocate
it.
at this point.
No, I do. I
Luke-
seriously believe that Anakin. brought balance
But
to
you
the
kind of
Force.
have that smile on your face right now where I'm getting under Fats' skin.
I think we can all agree
With him.
Luke is not a very strong Jedi by any means.
Not
No,
during
he's not.
Return, but I
via
think after
force or lightsaber fighting. No, he's not.
extended universe, I think, is way stronger.
He has heart.
Heart.
So, I don't know. That's all we have to say about Return of the Jedi or whatever. But here last week, they came out with the trailer. So, what's your guys' thoughts on the new Star Wars? Just going out the trailer.
Episode 7, I know people are doing a lot of shit about the different things they've seen. Black Stormtrooper, cross-hilt guard on the lightsaber, amongst other things. But personally, watching the X-Wings and watching Millennium Falcon, I think that it has a lot to offer just off those small scenes.
What do you think, D?
The trailer did nothing for me. Like, it just looks like they're trying to show the fans what they want to see and add a few more things in there. Just to build up the hype. It's a teaser.
They teased me,
I'm going to have to see
and I'm at
some
half
more
mast.
because I'm not impressed.
I don't know, just because I really like J.J. Abrams and like what he had previously done in the past with other sci-fi films. So I don't know. I think it's in good hands, and plus you have Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher all returning. I think it'll be pretty good. I don't think it'll be as bad because Jesus Christ, we've all lived through the prequel trilogy.
Harry, it's hard to. You can't get worse than that. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think it's the worst thing ever, but to actually break that barrier and get worse would be a feat.
It'll be right in between the original trilogy and the prequels. You know what I mean? Like how much you'll probably
I
like
think
it
so,
at the end
for
of the
sure.
day. It will probably end up. The new trilogy will be in between there.
Right between.
Keep in mind, we know next to nothing about the film. It was just a teaser trailer. And I mean, I was kind of mad about it to begin with when Disney bought out LucasArts. I was like, it could go either way. And after seeing the teaser trailer, I'm still like, it could go either way.
We can branch off that and say that Disney also bought out Marvel, right?
And have put out really good
Before
movies.
the Avengers.
But,
and I like
guys-
the Avengers.
The Avengers was good.
Stop fucking dovetailing, both of you. Dylan, what are you
No,
trying to say?
Dude, it's still on Disney. It's still on LucasArts. It's not dovetailing that much. It's giving hope to the next
You
film.
started talking about Marvel films.
No, I started talking about.
We did
Disney
like
That's
doing
another
it.
Yeah.
podcast.
And that would be another podcast, true. But no, don't talk about that. Dylan, what were you going to say?
At this point, we just have to be optimistic rather than pessimistic. George Lucas isn't at the helm anymore, It's J.J. Abrams, Disney. But George
It is still the skeleton, like the exoskeleton of what his ideas
Yes,
were.
I mean,
from what I understand, what I
he
read.
still wrote, he doctored up what these next 3 films are going to be, and gave what he gave Disney a basic structure of what he thought it should be. So it's still kind of his project.
Which I think is what's going to benefit it, because you're going off the skeleton of George Lucas, but not like, hey, I'm crazy George Lucas, and like what he did with the, like, you know, the prequels and everything. Like, it's still his main idea, but you're having other people come in there as actual fans of Star Wars and like putting their own touches in, and I think that will actually fucking help it.
But see, there's a problem there because you don't want to just retread the same old thing. I mean, that's fun.
I don't think they're going to.
Well, they're bringing back the original cast.
But you're continuing into a new
Even
trilogy.
in the trailer, you see the Millennium Falcon and TIE fighters.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? That's their main.
No.
They can't. Well, they can't like go off at like 3 new movies that you've never even seen these motherfuckers. They have to kind of tie it together
have to
somehow.
keep
So no, but they can't. I'm thinking that they're going to try to just do a whole bunch of the old stuff that people want to see with this film. That's what I think.
I
they
hope
I
that they
see
don't.
it.
If they
That's
do
what I
that with the
think.
first film of the new trilogy, I would not be that upset because it would link between the prequel, the original, and the new one.
I don't think
would-
that
I
they're
would
going to
enjoy
do that because they already announced that, you know, the original cast are going to play minor roles.
Minor role, yes.
So I think that what they're basically doing, Dylan, is like trying to tie it into what you'd have already seen. You know what I mean? So you had some point of reference.
They say that, but you see the Stormtroopers, the TIE fighters, the Millennium Falcon.
But
Well, the
Maybe
thing
that's
is,
the
the thing
main
is,
fighting
it's
force of the
supposed to be,
Empire.
I'm
it's
just
supposed to
saying.
be, yeah, the return of the Empire.
Maybe that's just to catch people's eye, you
And-
know, like keep them intrigued in the movie.
But I was even talking about that with Jim because I showed my dad the fucking trailer, and he's like, "Well, how can you have Sith again?" I was like, "Just because you killed off the Sith, or the Emperor, doesn't mean that the Sith were over."
The
because
Force always, it almost beckons more Sith into the making.
Exactly.
what I was gonna
I
say
can
is
agree
like
with
the deeper fans like us, like Jim didn't catch upon that. Like, well, you have to remember, Dark Sidious was the first Sith within how many fucking years?
It was millennia.
Yeah.
It was.
You know what I mean?
There
Like,
were
just
thousands
because
of
you
years.
killed the Emperor doesn't mean that the Sith are gone. They'll eventually come back because it's the balance of nature. The light will never outweigh the dark, and the dark will never outweigh the
Exactly.
light. There'll all be this balance. So I'm just curious if they're going to kill off Luke Skywalker in the very first one.
I don't. think
That's
they did
what
the
I'm
first one.
curious about.
I don't think they were the
Because
first
I
one.
think that they might do a passing of the baton or whatever, and a new Sith Lord or whatever, you know, so there has to be a new Jedi. And they might, that's what I'm thinking, they might kill off Luke.
I'm curious to see who the main Jedi will be because there are the three main
There were 3
characters:
young people like in the 20s, right? The actors.
the young African American man, a young Caucasian man, and a young Caucasian woman are the 3
Ew,
leads.
a woman? Fuck that. I'm not watching it.
Okay, well, we're not sexist here. We're not going to get into that.
I didn't say
Yeah, you
anything
piece
when
of
he
shit.
said something about a black guy, so don't even get that started. But anyway,
So I'm curious to see who will be the Jedi.
I'm more curious to who be the Sith myself. Because, I mean, I'm not racist or sexist, so whoever is the Jedi, great. But how they perceive the Sith Lord would be more interesting to me.
I actually can disagree with both of you, and I'm more curious as to see how the lightsaber fights will be, honestly, because of the. Yeah, I know that
the
maybe
fucking
sounds a
lightsaber
lot.
dude.
Dude, the crosshilt guard adds a completely new dimension. I mean, having
No,
the
it
guard,
doesn't.
Jake,
No, it doesn't.
It might be a
No, it
completely
doesn't.
different style of lightsaber fighting.
No,
No,
Jake.
it doesn't.
It might be.
No.
No.
How the fuck does that add
Well,
anything?
think about
You
it.
sound like a dumb
No,
fuck right now.
no. Think about it. Would they be able to do all of the amazing feats that they were able to do in the prequel trilogy, or even some of the ones in the original
No.
trilogy?
Listen,
Yeah.
think of
with
it this
a
way.
cross
Think
hilt?
of this way, you retard. If they have that hilt, they customize it themselves. That means they are skilled enough to use it properly.
It
dumb
might be
Dumb
more.
son of a bitch.
It might be more European-based sword fighting rather than more gymnastic sort of.
Fencing is what are you thinking? Fencing?
Yeah,
The
maybe.
fencing's already been done. Dooku.
Fencing
Dooku was
already-
the duelist.
Maybe
As-
what I'm saying is maybe they'll expand on that. So before you go
Fencing
calling me a
has
retard, think about the possibilities.
No.
Fencing has the handguard.
It's a claymore.
Still.
It's not a fucking dueling sword.
I can die happy. This is so awesome.
The blade is longer than the
But-
average lightsaber, and the hilt is that of a claymore.
Well,
That's why I said more European-based
Well,
sword fighting.
No, you said dueling. The fuck?
Kyle said
what
dueling.
what
the
I'll
fuck
say
are you
is-
talking about?
No, that just means he has more skill.
I don't think you said dueling, did you?
Kyle
think
said
so.
But,
fencing.
what
I said
what
fencing.
I'll say is like Jake's making it sound like it's gonna be this big fucking thing because they have
No.
those two little things
No.
right there.
No.
Dude, you saw in the prequels Anakin and Obi-Wan twirling those motherfuckers, and their hands didn't come near.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be.
You know what I
a
mean? I
huge
don't think it's
deal.
gonna be
I
that
think
big
it's just
fucking deal.
cosmetic. Like,
No,
that
I
looks
don't
kind
think
of
so.
cool.
All Jedi
I
and
think
Sith
it. I think
customize
it's
their
gonna be.
their
I think it's gonna be
lightsabers.
something maybe slightly different, some kind of different style of sword fighting. And all I said was that it was going to be intriguing for me. You guys are calling me a retard
Okay,
because
well,
of it, but whatever.
Without
you are a
interruption,
retard.
Fuck all of
very
you.
shallow.
That's all I
Without
can say.
interruption, I would like to hear what kind
Yes.
of sword fighting would be different.
Yep.
Because I can't think of anything
No,
besides.
stop. That before Jake even starts, I'll give you your point. But that's what they did with the original trilogy. Was it was more of an English fucking old knight
Yeah,
fighting,
way faster.
and then when they did the prequels, they were like, well, it's more of a samurai, more faster
Yes.
thing. So I want to hear how this would be different.
I'm not. Look, all I'm gonna
Enlighten
say is having those cross guards there. If you're gonna try and do like all these amazing feats and all these twirls and shit that they were able to do with lightsabers to begin
I already
with,
said this to you.
you run the risk
Without
of
interruption.
cutting off your
Without
hand. So
interruption.
it's
No,
going
you
to be a
don't.
different.
No, you don't.
All,
It's
no,
interruption.
all I'm saying is
I
it's
wanna hear
going
it.
to be.
Stop.
All I'm saying is that I think it might be a different style of sword fighting with this one particular guy who happens to have the cross guard at the hilt. I'm just saying I think it's going to be
No.
interesting.
Jake, that sounds retarded.
How? There's different styles.
no
of,
different.
Think about our fucking actual world. We have different styles of swords. It'll have different, completely styles of fighting to begin
They've
with.
already
with
covered
them.
all the fighting styles.
Well,
And,
most.
They
not all.
fucking
Most
twirled
and not all.
lightsabers in the prequels, and that didn't cut their hands off. Oh, adding those two little things that are going to cut their
And
fingers
the original
off. You are a
trilogy-
fucking retard to fucking
In the
say
original
something
trilogy,
like that.
they use their lightsabers like they would have used 2.5 hand and also Claymore swords. If you can think back to
Exactly.
the Vader and Kenobi fight, they did slow like they would
Or
Claymore.
even
Same with
Luke when he fought Vader.
and Bastard swords, like they were big swords that they would use in that sense.
it's
They were
when you
heavy.
got to the prequels that got
It was way slower.
ridiculous.
Then
And then
explain
they
to me-
still
then
didn't
explain
cut
to
their
me
fucking
why it
hands
would be
off.
a cosmetic point. Like, what would be the big deal if it was just a cosmetic
The only
point?
thing the hilt would do is protect you from the lightsaber cutting off your hand.
Exactly. And there
perhaps.
has been a theory along Reddit that I really look into that the cross hilt, those things are just really vents that put out the extra
Exhausting.
plasma.
Yes,
Exhaust.
I would believe that.
Exactly.
That's what else they've said. And because the ultimate theory is that the cross hilt, because there you can see the plastic or the polyurethane, whatever the fuck you want to call it, kind of casing around the lightsaber themselves.
Then all I can say is that that's bullshit, and that's getting the fans excited for basically nothing.
It's a teaser
Cosmetic.
trailer.
Cosmetic.
Yeah, cosmetic would be
cosmetic.
bullshit. I think it would be way more fascinating if it was just a different style of sword fighting.
But
That's all I was trying to say.
There's
And you guys are
noth-
fucking ostracizing me
there's
for it.
nothing-
Fuck all of you.
No, it doesn't add weight. It doesn't add any sort of other.
Shut the fuck up.
It doesn't
seriously.
add any sort of other variant to the lightsaber besides having a cross hilt on it, which doesn't
What?
really add anything to the lightsaber style
Okay,
of fighting.
blink.
I mean, let's be honest. Even Darth Maul's lightsaber is cosmetic.
Well,
it did
yeah.
offer a slightly different fighting style.
But still,
him a-
But it
still,
was-
you saw his hands up there. He didn't actually cut your fingers off. So just adding
Yes.
those two
Yeah.
things, oh yes, that will make a complete and utter fucking difference.
Not a huge difference, but I think it does make some sort of subtle difference because it has the exhaust ports on it.
Nah.
Is what I theorize.
I don't think it'll be a completely
No.
different fucking
In
fighting
the end, I think
style.
it is just cosmetic.
But if it turns out to be something huge, then fucking more on you, dude.
My mind's blown.
That'd be fantastic. I wouldn't disagree with it at all because it'd be crazy.
In-
Anyway,
Anything else on the trailer? I wonder if that robot that they show rolling in the
I think that's R2.
no, but it is, but
what?
what?
He's orange and white,
Well, they
or like
that's
orange
all
and
the
tan.
things that I've read that's R2. Like maybe the bottom half of it has been blown off.
It doesn't look like R2.
I was gonna
The
ask.
top part of it is.
I wonder if
it's
that's
blue.
practical effects, because if that is, that's impressive.
It's digital.
You think so?
Oh,
Yeah.
digital. Why would R2 be any different though?
C-3PO is different in the prequels than when you get to the original trilogy.
No plating.
Well, just
You know what I mean? Like something might have happened.
There. I guess there's
You know what I mean? That's
15,
what
20
that's why I was
years.
reading. Like,
what is
something
the
might
time
happen.
skip here?
It's realistic. So
Yeah, I
we're
think it's real
realistically, it is right now. How many years has it been
31
since
years.
Return of the Jedi?
31 years, 83.
It's 31 years from when Return of the Jedi happened in the universe.
So yeah,
He did.
it could be.
JJ was honest. I'm not like trying to sound up JJ Abrams. But, the writers, like the guys that are making the fucking movie, did stay honest. Like Mark Hamill is the correct age of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo. They weren't like trying to fuck with anything there. It is that how many years has it been since Return of the Jedi that this movie takes place?
That's actually pretty cool.
And I dug that part of it. Like I was seeing like Luke has a fucking goatee, and I was like, get the fuck out
Have
of
you
here.
seen
That's
pictures?
badass. Yeah.
Where do you go to find pictures? I haven't seen any of them.
It's some trailer like Robert showed me.
I need to look it up.
Full trailer's supposed to be released in a few months.
I can't wait that long.
See, I can.
I can't wait.
I'm really like I am looking forward to it, just for the experience.
And,
more so than
and
anything.
boys, that's why I think you're touching upon it, Dylan. That's why I was bringing up everybody getting over pumped when they like. You can go back and like read people's posts about when Phantom Menace that trailer was released, and they're like, "This looks epic. This is gonna save the franchise."
See, we're gonna think that again, and it may.
I don't
Yeah.
even care, dude.
But I mean, everybody that says it's gonna be shit, and everybody that says it's gonna be awesome, and everybody's like, they're still gonna go fucking see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This movie will be a blockbuster.
Well, there's no denying it. It's gonna make its money back and profit.
No, I'm just still really excited that they are even going to do 2 more movies after this one.
Because the exciting thing is, like, we're younger guys. You have to understand, like, our parents don't give a shit about the prequels, or at least my dad didn't, but he's like, what, they're making a 7th one? I'll go fucking watch it.
Right.
Because he was a little kid when that came out. So you're capturing, like, that audience again, reliving their fucking
See, I
childhood.
feel like
you know
we
what
are
I mean?
in the best position because we were grown up on the originals, and then we got to see the prequels
Yeah.
and make our still judgments based off that, even seeing the originals. And now we get to experience the next 3 in the position that our fathers were, kind of,
Yeah.
when they watched the prequels.
And that's
Which-
something I wanted to talk about you later, Dylan, is like practical effects and everything. But, yeah, I do think like that.
I'm excited.
I don't know. Do you guys just want to bullshit at this point? Because we've kind of run out of everything.
I was thinking of one last interesting thing.
What's up?
They're made up into 3 trilogies. They're fans of the original trilogy, they're fans of the prequel trilogy, and then there's going to be fans of this new trilogy. So it's interesting that there's going to be people who like these more, and these more.
It will be. And I feel like inevitably there's going to be a war based off those 3 factions and the same similarity as the Otters in South Park during the freeze that Cartman did.
Of the Wii.
Yes, the Wii freeze.
See, I kind of fall into that category, and I see that because, like, my dad raised me on the old films, but we're part of that generation, just like you were raised on the old films, then you saw the new films. Like, I have a sister that's fucking going to be 9.
She doesn't know the
So
old films.
all that she'll know about Star Wars is the new films
Yeah.
that are coming out now. So, you know what I mean? Like Dylan said, that the new generation and everything.
You haven't shown her the originals?
That's that's why I was thinking about buying the Blu-ray box set, because I could give Isaac and her the DVDs, because
It's
she's
hard
never
to
seen
make
them.
them watch it. I mean, Abby was here today, and we watched half of A New Hope together
She was like,
before she got bored.
to be
I
fair,
don't-
she is female.
I don't think
Yeah. I don't
Female.
care about that, though.
I don't think that would bother my sister, because she's like, I came up and I gave her some Godzilla DVDs, and I came and visited her last time, and she's like, these are awesome. Will you bring me more of those? And I'm like, you are so much better than what Scott could have been.
Okay,
Do
before
not fail me.
But you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But it's weird, like what you were saying, like that kind of younger generation that wasn't raised kind of how we are. That's all they're gonna know is the new films.
that's true. But before we do any more of shooting the shit, I do want to address that someone's being a big
Bitch.
quiet guy. He didn't realize I was fucking with him,
Qui-Gon
and he
bitch.
freaked shit.
He's pouting.
You call me fucking retarded. Oh, just thought the hell would I was fucking with you. Just because I knew it'd rouse you.
Well, he's
Nah.
not giving you the stink eye. He's giving me the stink eye. What are you gonna do about it, Jake?
Dude, if it changes something, then great. If it doesn't, then whatever.
I'm saying it opened up possibilities. You guys were being douchebags.
Don't say you guys. I didn't say shit
I
about
couldn't
it.
take a joke. I was
Good
messing with you because I knew it would piss you off, and it did.
Susceptible you are.
You fell for the
That's
trap.
a horrible Yoda impression.
It's a trap.
Nice.
But
Bye.
Well, guys,
this was Kaijus Slasher Ewoks. Oh my, with Fat
Oh my.
Kyle
Dylan.
Skinny Kyle.
Jake.
and have a fantastic 2 weeks. So we'll see you again.